Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Luffy sets sail with Boa Hancock after training in Harem? Before I start, please do support for more awesome content, and subscribe my channel and like this video. Go support and follow the kodyakcombs for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story. Link in the description. Calm Belt, Amazon Lily. The most beautiful woman in the world and warlord of the sea, Boa Hancock was standing in the center of the battle ring where warriors would clash. Ready, Boa Marigold shouted while lifting her hand. In the stands, Kuja warriors pulled bows, some being snakes, and aimed arrows at Hancock. Fire! Following Marigold's shout, the female warriors fired arrows at their empress. Hancock closed her eyes and took a deep breath. The arrows and their trajectory all appeared in her mind. However, that wasn't enough. She focused even further until she saw herself from a third-person perspective. She saw the arrows piercing her body one after the other. Okay, Hancock took a step forward as the arrows flew at her. She walked through the hail of arrows as everyone passed her, missing by a few centimeters. She calmly walked as the arrows were unable to even brush against her clothes. After a few seconds, she opened her eyes. She was standing in the ring with countless arrows embedded in the ground around her. Kaya Snake Princess, so cool, so majestic. The Kuja warriors rained down praises with heart-shaped eyes. Marigold and Sandersonia clapped with smiles on their faces. Snake Princess, Elder Nyan slowly approached Hancock. Congratulations on achieving future sight. Your hockey training these last 6 months have been incredibly successful. Granny, Hancock smiled. With this, I can protect Luffy in the new world. Huh. Hancock clenched her fist, ignoring the confused Elder Nyan. I won't let anybody hurt him. Bring it on, new world, whether it be the Yonko or the world government. I'll defeat them all for Luffy. Oh, the Kuja pirates' cheers shook the stadium. Wait, what are you talking about, Snake Princess? Elder Nyan was frantic. What do you mean, Granny? I'm talking about me accompanying Luffy into the new world. When was this decided? The moment I laid eyes on him, I pledged to forever be by his side. Didn't you hate him in the beginning? Me? Hate Luffy? Have you finally gone senile? Old woman, Luffy and I fell in love at first sight. Elder Nyan's jaw hit the floor. She couldn't believe the nonsense she was hearing. Did this woman rewrite her memories to fit her narrative? Her face paled. She's sicker in the head than I thought. I can hear you, you hag. Did you forget we keep the panther over there? And more importantly, Snake Princess, you can't follow Luffy into the new world. Why? Why this girl? Yuri, a warlord, and Luffy is an enemy of the world government. If you're seen siding with him, you risk losing your position. I don't care. I want to travel with Luffy. Especially now I know he has female crewmates. Hancock's fists trembled. They haven't seen Luffy in 2 years. Can you imagine how much they long for him, especially after he's done the impossible and become even more handsome? Over the 2 years they'll be all over him. She was gritting her teeth. Elder Nyan looked at her with utter shock all over her face. It's no use, she's dumber than I thought. No, she's just that stubborn, she thought. Maybe it's time we start looking for her replacement, she mumbled. Sonia, Marie, feed her to the panther for mutiny, Hancock said while walking away. Wait, Snake Princess, we're not done here. I need to clean myself and prepare to meet my future husband. Hancock's face reddened and she tried to hide it. Kaya, so cute. Snake Princess. The Kuja pirates started cheering again. Silence, you fools, is love all you people think about? Elder Nyan's roar silenced the crowd. Listen, Snake Princess. You most likely haven't been keeping up with the news going around, but the world government is rumored to be creating new weapons to combat pirates in the new world. It's said Dr. Vegapunk has been really busy these last 2 years. There's a possibility the Marines are thinking of abolishing the warlord system. If that happens, the ones who suffer will be those on the island. You need to stay on the island in order to protect it from outside threat if that was to happen. Hancock stopped and turned around. Granny, what the world government plans to do is their business. She started walking back towards Elder Nyan. If they want to abolish the system, then let them. They are the ones who came begging to work with us. Elder Nyan started backpedaling in the face of Hancock's fierce gaze. We are the Kuja tribe, a proud tribe of strong warriors who are feared across the world. Hancock stopped when Elder Nyan was at the edge of the ring. She bent over and looked her in the eyes. We fear no one. As a former empress you should remember that, Gloriosa. She turned her back and started to walk away. Don't worry, Granny. I won't follow Luffy to the new world because he doesn't need protecting. She showed a small grin. He's the man who will become king of the pirates, after all. She walked away and left the ring. The Kuja warriors cheered while Elder Nyan breathed a sigh of relief. Well, at least it looks like I was able to convince her, although she had to be extra about it. She mumbled the last part. After leaving the battle ring, Hancock returned to her palace. Prepare the bath. Yes, Snake Princess. The servants scattered to make preparations on Hancock's orders. After their tasks were completed, they all quickly vacated the palace, leaving only the Gorgon sisters. Weren't you a bit harsh on Elder Nyan, big sister? Sandersonia spoke to Hancock as she took off her clothes. That hag is always worried about something. It's like she's forgotten her pride as a former empress. Hancock entered her floral bath as spoke to her sisters beyond the shades. I understand where you're coming from, sister. However, she's merely worried about our people and, more importantly, you. Marigold spoke with a wry smile. Hancock didn't say anything and sunk her body in the water. She closed her eyes as she relaxed her body. Over the last 2 years, I haven't had any nightmares about our time and marriages. Before, I used to hate closing my eyes at night because all I could see were their faces. Laughing at us, looking down at us with ridicule, seeing us as less than human. I hated dreaming, but now I look forward to sleeping every night. Marigold and Sandersonia frowned before smiling. Isn't that a good thing? Marie asked. Yeah, it's great. Instead of terrors of the past, I see Luffy's smile. That smile makes me feel like I'm untouchable. No matter what happens, I feel like he'll come to my rescue wearing that smile. That's why I want to be with him all the time. Hancock became silent a bit as she slowly opened her eyes. Marie, Sonia, I want to become for you what Luffy is for me. I want to be the thing that drives away everybody's nightmares. You're already like that for us, big sister. Sandersonia spoke with a smile. After we escaped because of Fisher Tiger and met up with Rayleigh and the former Empress, Marie and I had trouble sleeping. We were being plagued with nightmares, fearing that we'll be recaptured. The one who held our hands every night and stayed by our side was you, big sister. You chased away our nightmares despite being plagued by them yourself. You're already our beacon. Marie nodded. Hancock stared at the ceiling and smiled. Granny. Yes, Snake Princess. Elder Nyan appeared from behind a pillar. Send the girls to pick up Luffy and bring him here. Marguerite is the one most familiar with him. Let her meet up with him. Is that okay, Snake Princess? I thought you wanted to see him first. I do, but you said it yourself, Granny. I need to know when to back away and let him miss me. Sending someone else when he's expecting me will make his anticipation grow, right? Elder Nyan's eyes widened. So, you are listening to me. You may be a senile old hag, but you give good advice from time to time. Elder Nyan smiled. Acting like this is unfair. It makes it hard to stay mad at you. She kneeled. Thank you for the compliment, Snake Princess. Hancock nodded while playing with one of the petals floating in the bath. I can't wait to meet you, Luffy. How I was chosen to retrieve Luffy. In the city, Marguerite looked at her Kuja pirate senior, Ran with widened eyes. She was inside a restaurant eating when Ran approached her to pass down an order. That's right. You'll accompany us to Rusakana tomorrow, and then you'll be the one to go on the island to meet him. These are the Snake Princess orders. But why me? I don't know, maybe because you're friends. Then, what about Sweet Pea and Aphalandra? They're friends with Luffy too. Can they come as well? Marguerite gestured to the two girls sitting beside her. Ran shook her head. The Snake Princess specifically picked you. Ran placed her hand on Marguerite's shoulder. I know Rusakana is scary, but you were chosen by our leader. Hold your head high and consider it an honor. Yes, ma'am. Marguerite stood and saluted. Ran nodded. Then we'll see you tomorrow. She left the restaurant, leaving Marguerite to finish her meal. Isn't that great? Marguerite, the Snake Princess chose you to be the first to meet Luffy. Sweet Pea was all smiles and shook Marguerite back and forth. Good for you. Aphalandra clapped softly with a smile on her face. Thanks. Marguerite showed a strange smile. Is the Snake Princess really okay with me meeting Luffy first? She thought. No. Meanwhile, Hancock was wailing inside her bed chambers. She buried her head in her pillow while punching the bed. Why did I give such an order? She started punching the pillow. I shouldn't have allowed myself to get swept up in the mood. Now someone else will meet Luffy before me. She was on the verge of shedding tears. Why? She started screaming into her pillow. Her sisters, who were standing guard outside her chambers, couldn't help but shake their heads. The next day, the Kuja pirate ship arrived at Rusakana in the afternoon. All right, Marguerite. Luffy should be somewhere on the island. According to the Snake Princess, he should be able to sense you if you're near the safe zone, so head there, Rand said to her. Marguerite nodded with a determined expression. Good luck. Marguerite once again nodded at Rand and leaped off the ship. She sprinted through the snow covering the island without looking back. She scanned her surroundings while moving through the jungle. Ah, there it is. She spotted a tree resembling a radish. She hurried and quickly reached the tree. Marguerite. She stopped when she heard a familiar voice. Luffy. There she saw Luffy walking out of the jungle. I thought that was you. What are you doing here? Is it time to leave already? No, we actually depart for Sabati tomorrow. Then why are you here? Luffy was visibly confused. Snake Princess wants to have a banquet to celebrate the end of your training on the island. She wants to do it before we depart. A banquet. Luffy's eyes sparkled and his mouth started to water. Let's go, I haven't had a decent meal in forever. Marguerite nodded. The ship is by the coast. Follow me. Meet. Luffy followed behind her while singing. Maya, by the way, where's Hancock? I don't sense her. He started looking around. Ah, she isn't here. She sent me to come get you. She isn't here, huh? Luffy started following behind Marguerite in silence. Luffy seems down all of a sudden, Marguerite thought but didn't say anything. They continued to walk until she spoke again. I'm surprised I don't see any monsters. I heard this place was overrun with them. Ah, I ate a lot of them over the 2 years. You ate them? Luffy nodded. A lot of them died during Hancock's last visit too. The rest tend to avoid me now. So none of them should attack you if I'm around. I see. That's amazing. Right. He started smiling again, and they reached the ship. After greeting the girls on the ship, they departed for Amazon Lily. After a few hours, they arrived at the island. Luffy, congrats on finishing your training. Are you hungry? Luffy was greeted with all kinds of cheers the moment he came off the boat. He waved at them with a huge smile on his face. Luffy, he spotted Sweet Pea and Aphalandra in the crew waving at him. Hey, you guys, it's been a while. He ran up to them with a huge grin. Are you guys good? Yeah, we're a part of the Kuja Pirates now. Sweet Pea puffed out her chest proudly. That's so cool. Wait. So that's why Marguerite came with the ship. He looked back at Marguerite, who was smiling. We trained hard and got stronger. Luffy nodded. I can tell. You guys definitely worked hard. The girls started grinning. Marguerite. Ren walked up to them and called out Marguerite. Ah, that's right. Luffy, we should get going. We don't want to keep the Snake Princess waiting. Oh, Hancock, where is she? I want to see her. She's at the palace where we're keeping the banquet. Alright, let's go. Are you that hungry? I am, but I want to see Hancock too. I missed having her around on the island. Ran and Marguerite's eyes widened. Luffy ignored them and started heading to the palace on his own. Seems like Elder Nyan's plan was more effective than we thought, Ran mumbled. Meanwhile in the palace, cook more meat. This isn't nearly enough. You get more flowers to brighten up the place. You play something more upbeat. And where is my dress? Hancock was barking orders left, right, and center. She was moving through the banquet halls at the speed of light, fixing everything to her liking. At one point it looked like there were dozens of Hancocks in the hall. Snake Princess, calm down. Luffy won't even care about most of this stuff. Elder Nyan was trying to intervene. Guards, remove this talking sack of bones. She's ruining the mood with her negativity. Hancock continued trying to make everything perfect. Big sister, we've gotten word Luffy will be here any moment now. Sandersonia came into the hall and reported to Hancock. He's here. Hancock froze in place. What should I do, Granny? If I didn't know you would turn me into stone, I would have slapped some sense into you. Elder Nyan sighed. Calm down, child. Just go freshen up and let us take care of the rest of the preparations. You're right. Hancock hastily left the halls without a second thought. Elder Nyan shook her head. Granny, did you tell sister about the plan to get her and Luffy together on the ride back to Sabati? Marigold approached her and asked. Not yet. It's better she acts natural and doesn't force things now that they know each other better. We'll create situations for them to get closer, but it's better she has no idea what we're planning, that way she won't get too nervous and mess things up. Elder Nyan mumbled the last part. After some time, Luffy arrived at the palace and was led to the banquet hall. A bright light illuminated the halls as the door opened. There were sparkling furniture, statues of Luffy with snakes entangled around him, and paintings of Hancock and Luffy with snakes forming hearts behind them. The sound of music echoed through the halls. Oh, but none of that matters. Luffy's eyes only widened when the large quantities of food entered his sight. He was about to run inside but stopped. He turned his head and saw Hancock walk into the hall. She was wearing a strapless red double-slit dress with the gold Kuja symbol near the bottom. She matched the dress with a pair of red stilettos with gold straps and bottoms. Hancock. Luffy ran up to her and hugged her. This caught everyone off guard. Elder Nyan's eyes were popping out of her head. It's great to see you again, Hancock. Hancock's body stiffened before she became limp in his arms. Hancock. Luffy looked and saw her limp with the eyes rolled to the back of her head. Hancock found herself in a white space. Where am I? She looked around confused. For some reason, her body felt light. I feel like I'm forgetting something very important. Go back. An unknown voice echoed in the space, causing Hancock to look around frantically. It's not your time to die, Boa Hancock. Go back. Die. Hancock became even more confused. What do you mean? I said go back. Hancock opened her eyes and was breathing heavily. What happened? She looked around and saw that she was in the banquet halls. That's right. I was preparing to meet Luffy and then, Hancock, you're awake. She turned her head. Luffy's face was merely inches away from hers. You suddenly fainted, so I got worried. Her eyes were spinning in her head and was unable to hear a word Luffy was saying. It looks like you're Al. Hancock. Hancock's body went limp once more as her eyes rolled to the back of her head. Hancock. Hancock once again found herself in the white space. She stood in silence, but she knew whatever talked to her was present, yet didn't say anything. She stood there for a while before it spoke. Really, is this what we're doing? Hancock remained silent and just looked at her feet. I just sent you back, basically bringing you back from the dead, and this is how you repay me. A sigh echoed in the space. A light flashed and Hancock opened her eyes again. However, this time she was in the arms of Elder Nyan. Her face immediately grimaced. I'll appreciate it if you didn't look at my face with disgust the moment you lay eyes on me. You're asking for quite a lot there, Granny. The bare minimum of respect is a lot. Hancock pushed Elder Nyan off her while standing up. I felt like I had a weird dream, even by my standards, she mumbled. Hancock. Luffy was standing some distance away from her. Luffy. She called out his name with overflowing affection. Congratulations on finishing your training. She started clapping and the rest of the party started applauding as well. Hancock's eyes softened as she looked at him. Eat as much as you want. Play as much as you want. You deserve it, thanks. Luffy immediately went to the table and grabbed a piece of meat and a drink. Everybody, let's eat and have fun, it's a party. Oh, the girls joined in eating and drinking as music played in the halls. Hancock watched all of this with a smile on her face. Ha. Luffy's laughter rang out as he stood on the table. He pulled the skin on his face and tied it in knots before dancing. Go Luffy. The girls cheered as he did more and more tricks with his body. Yeah, I'll never understand how anyone can find that funny. Else Nyan mumbled. I agree. Hancock surprisingly agreed with her. This caused Elder Nyan's jaw to drop. Wait, maybe she still has a little common sense left, she thought. As for Hancock, how could you laugh at anything so beautiful? Her eyes turned into hearts as she looked at Luffy. Yeah. I should have expected as much, Elder Nyan sighed. I wish I could see the world through your eyes. It seems pretty carefree. Ichem, did you say anything worthy of being fed to the panther, Granny? Hancock asked without taking her eyes off Luffy and gently clapping. Not at all, my dear. I see. The smile never left her face the entire banquet. The banquet went on until late in the night. Luffy lay on the table sleeping with a turkey leg in his mouth. He looked so sophisticated. Hancock stood by the side of the table looking at him with hard eyes. Love is scary, Elder Nyan mumbled. As long as she's happy, Sanda Sonia whispered in her ear. Elder Nyan sighed. Snake Princess, Sabiti Archipelago is almost a 2 weeks voyage from here. Luffy is supposed to return weeks from now. We're leaving tomorrow at his request. The ship's supplies and personnel has already been dealt with. I hope everything is up to your standards. Hancock put on a serious expression. Good job, Granny. I need everything to be perfect for Luffy's first voyage with us. Her face became flushed. 2 weeks isolated on a boat together. It's like our trip to Impel Down all over again. I can't wait. Her body started wiggling like a snake. This girl completely forgot we're gonna be there with her, hasn't she? Elder Nyan thought while shaking her head. Well, I guess it's better this way. In order for our plan to work, we need the two of them to spend as much time as possible. It would be better if they forget about us and get lost in their own world. Although, Hancock is always in her own world. She looked at Hancock, who was slowly approaching Luffy. Hancock hesitantly poked his cheek. Luffy intensely clamped down on the turkey leg. He started chewing it bone and all. He swallowed before rolling on his side. Hancock's face brightened up and she started to gently poke him. A smile slowly formed on Elder Nyan's face. Well, at least she's happy. The following morning, Luffy woke up on top of the table with a groan. He sat up while smacking his lips. He looked down and saw Hancock resting her upper body on his legs. She was kneeling and asleep. Confusion appeared on Luffy's face. He looked around and they were the only ones in the room. This caused him to be more confused. After a while, he just shrugged and laid back down. He fell asleep in a second. Hours later, Luffy was on the Kuja's ship yawning. I can't believe I did something so embarrassing. Hancock was on the other side of the ship hiding her face in her hands. So you fell asleep looking at him. What's the big deal? Shut up, Granny, why did you make everyone leave us alone like that? It seemed like an intimate moment. I thought you'd enjoy it alone. I almost had a heart attack when I woke up leaning on Luffy. This man has seen you on multiple occasions and this is what you're freaking out about. I can't face him yet. I need time to prepare myself. So we're just going to ignore the fact he's the only man to ever see you, alright? Elder Nyan walked over to Marguerite. Accompany Luffy again when we return to Rusakana. What about the Snake Princess? She'll be there, but she'll be keeping her distance for a bit. We don't want Luffy to think we're avoiding him or anything, so keep him company until she wins against her inner demons. Alright, Elder Nyan. Marguerite nodded after much hesitation. The ship departed Amazon Lily and arrived at Rusakana in the evening. The entire crew, minus Elder Nyan, disembarked along with Luffy, but as planned Marguerite kept him company. Hancock was still fighting her inner demons, mumbling absent-mindedly while being guided by her sisters. I just remembered. I need to pay those guys a visit before I go. Who? Some friends I made here. They arrived near the safe zone where they saw a giant ape, a crocodile, and a lion fighting it out. Hey! They froze when they heard Luffy's voice. He dug his hand into the giant sack he was carrying. He pulled out some meat. I brought a parting gift. The beast's eyes lit up and their mouth watered. A few minutes later, Luffy started a fire and put the pieces of meat to cook. He looked back at Marguerite and others and smiled. I'll be back. I'm going to get my treasure. He left quickly, walking through the snow. Marguerite and the girls started looking around. They marveled at the scenery. The ape and the crocodile started eating the meat on the fire. They soon started fighting for it. Where am I? Where's Luffy? Hancock suddenly snapped back to reality. He went to get his hat, Marguerite answered. He's been gone for a bit. Luffy, leave him. He's probably a bit emotional leaving this place after 2 years, Hancock said. I'm coming back now. Luffy's voice reached their ears. This caused Hancock to smile. Marguerite turned her attention to the ape and crocodile who was fighting. A shadow cast over her. She turned her head and saw the giant lion approaching her with a hungry look in its eyes. Marguerite immediately readied her bow with a nervous expression. The lion roared in retaliation. The two were ready to clash. Hey! A stern voice caused them to flinch. They turned their heads to see Luffy approaching with his hat in his hand. The lion became passive and visibly frightened. Look again, that's my friend. Luffy glared in their direction. The three beasts backed down and even stopped fighting. Marguerite slowly became more relaxed. Luffy, the ship is ready to sail at any time. Alright, thanks for waiting. Hancock stood some distance away with a proud look on her face. He's become the true boss of the island. Sonia along with the rest of the girls were all impressed. Luffy walked up to the monsters whose bodies stiffened the closer he got. But man, because I became friends with these guys I couldn't eat them. The beasts became confused. Even though they looked so yummy, they then became dejected. Don't worry, Luffy. Hancock was able to talk to Luffy again but with a flushed face. I've loaded the ship with your favorite food. Don't you think that makes me a good wife? I'm grateful for the food but I'm not getting married. I love how blunt you are. Hancock looked like she was on the verge of fainting to the amusement of her sisters. Luffy stood in front of the beasts who looked at him with caution. I guess it's time to say goodbye to you guys on this island. The beasts became dejected. Yet Luffy grinned and placed his hat on his head. His eyes were bright and fearless. Let's set sail. After retrieving his straw hat and saying his goodbyes, Luffy left the island with the Kuja pirates. Man, I can't wait to get to Sabati and meet up with everybody. He was sitting on top of one of the snakes pulling the ship. I wonder how much everyone changed. Maybe Zoro learned sword style, Nami learned how to fly with her staff thingy, Sanji can summon food out of thin air, or Chopper can turn into a human. Wait, what if Frankie can turn into a giant robot? His eyes were sparkling. Man, I can't wait. Ah, Luffy. Hancock was on the deck goggling at him with hard eyes. He looks so dreamy up there. It's been a while, so let's show what Hancock was seeing compared to everyone else. Ah, handsome Luffy sat gracefully on the head of one of the snakes. He let out a sigh as he looked out at the open sea. My friends, I long for the day we cross paths once again. The other snake, who for some reason was looking majestic, brought its head up to Luffy and rubbed its face against his. Luffy chuckled and pet the snake. Yeah, you're right. I'm sure they're all right and can't wait to see me. He looked out at the ocean with the two snakes with an air of mystery. Don't worry guys, your captain is coming and he's bringing his wife with him. Wife. Hancock pressed her hands on her flushed cheeks as her body wiggled. In reality, hey snake. You guys must be strong to pull this ship. What do you say, you want to spar? Luffy wrapped his arm around one of the snakes and was clearly harassing it to the dismay of the girls. The girls were able to convince Luffy to leave the snakes alone and return to the deck. Snake Princess, could you keep Luffy company so he won't cause any trouble? Elder Nyan asked with an exhausted expression. You want me to spend time alone with Luffy? Yes, since you've done so many times before there shouldn't be a problem. But, Hancock bashfully looked away. That's so sudden. I need to prepare myself mental. Hey Luffy, Elder Nyan cut Hancock off. Luffy looked at her with a confused expression. What's up, Granny? Hancock says she wants to give you a tour of the ship and show you some cool places. Luffy's face brightened up. Really? Luffy ran up to Hancock and held her hand. Eck. He ignored her screeching and pulled her along. Let's go. Elder Nyan and the girls watched as Luffy dragged the statue formerly known as Boa Hancock away. They could hear it scrapping the wooden as he pulled it. Ha! For a woman who talks about marriage and kids all the time, she sure freezes up when it comes to action. She looked at Sonia and Marie. Alright, from this moment forward we're commencing Operation Love Boat. You girls are to try and get those two alone as much as possible. Don't ignore Luffy too much to make him feel isolated, but try to make him rely on the Snake Princess as much as possible. Also, if you see her being too passive, try to find ways to force them to be together. Do you all understand? Yes, ma'am. The Kuja pirates saluted Elder Nyan before scattering. Alright, Snake Princess. The stage is all yours. Luffy dragged Hancock to the rear of the ship. That's when she revived and realized her situation. So what are you going to show me? Luffy was up in her face looking at her with sparkling eyes. Keep calm, Hancock. You can't keep dying and coming back alive so frequently. She took a deep breath and closed her eyes. You're a captain and you're on your ship. You need to have dignity. She slowly opened up them and looked at Luffy's face. His eyes sparkled like black diamonds, his hair gracefully danced in the sea breeze, and his face put most gods to shame. Dignity was overrated anyway, Hancock thought as her eyes turned into hearts. Hancock. Yes, my husband. What are you going to show me? Ah, yes. Sorry about that. She finally regained her senses. Luffy, did you know this ship is almost 100 years old? Really, that's older than Brook, I think. Hancock nodded. This ship has been used by the previous generations of Kuja pirates and empresses. For the Kuja, it's like a symbol of our power as well as a second home. Then it's your version of the Sunny. Your ship, I guess so. Hancock's eyes light up. Do you think I can ride on your ship one day? Sure, I don't see why not. I'm sure my friends would love you. How then does that mean I'll have their approval to be your wife? I don't know about all that, but I'm sure they'll like you. Yes. Hancock aggressively clenched her fists. I'm a step closer. All I need now is to meet your family and get their approval. She entered deep thought. I can probably meet Vice Admiral Garp using my warlord status, but meeting Dragon will be tricky. What if I joined the Revolutionary Army? If Elder Nyan had heard her, she would have unsubscribed from life right then and there. Oh, Luffy. What about your mother? Mother, I don't have one. I mean, I didn't know I had a dad. Really? No, that's wrong. Luffy showed Hancock a huge smile. She's not my mom, but I have someone who is like that. Her name is Dayton. She raised me and Ace until we set out to sea. Do you miss her? Yeah. Luffy leaned on the railing. But I'll go see her and everyone at Fusha Village after I finished adventuring. He looked at her. You wanna come? Hancock's eyes widened. She pointed at herself with a trembling finger. Can I come? Sure, why not? When I'm Pirate King, I'm gonna meet up with everyone I met along the way. We're gonna party and laugh together. I intend to come visit you as well. You're gonna visit Myset because you're gonna miss me. Of course, I missed you a lot when you left the island. I thought about our time together every day. By this time, Hancock was redder than Luffy's shirt. Her eyes were spinning in her head and her face was hot. I miss you a lot too, she mumbled without any confidence. I see. Then it's great we're together now, right? Hancock shyly nodded. After much hesitation, she walked up to him and stood next to him. See, can I meet this date in person if we go back to your hometown together? Dayton, that's fine. I'm sure she'll be surprised though. Then again, she's pretty funny when surprised. Luffy laughed, but Hancock hung her head down. Her heart was starting to hurt from beating so fast. You should meet Makino too. Oh, and the mayor. You should meet everyone, they're all like family to me. I will. She lifted her head and looked at him with a determined expression. I will meet them all, everyone who's important to you. I want to meet them and thank them for raising you so we could eventually meet. Her face was a hot red, but her expression didn't falter. Luffy nodded with a grin. I can't wait. Her face relaxed, and she smiled back. Me neither. The two started laughing. Not too far away from them, Elder Nyan was looking at them with her eyes popping out of her head and her jaw hitting the floor. I came to check on them because I was worried. She watched as Hancock spoke to Luffy with a relaxed smile. What the hell is going on here? They're totally hitting off. Elder Nyan was so confused she forgot to be happy her plan was succeeding. After getting over her initial shock, Elder Nyan decided to leave Luffy and Hancock alone to have some privacy. I don't know when those two developed such good vibes, but they're really hitting it off. She smiled as walked back to the front deck. She remembered what Hancock said earlier. I guess she really just needed time to prepare herself. It makes me curious as to what happened between them on that island. Meanwhile, Hancock and Luffy were happily talking together. So your first bounty was million. That's sick. I didn't get that high until I defeated Crocodile. Well, I needed to make a strong impression on my debut, so I was a bit wild back then. Hancock showed a proud expression. The world government founded us and begged us to work with them. Really, I don't think I could be a warlord though. I don't like the idea of working under someone. Also, some of the warlords I met were big jerks. Like Crocodile and Mariah. Could it be he hates warlords? Hancock's face paled. If you hate warlords, I could quit being one right this moment. She placed her hand over her heart and shouted. It was a good thing Elder Nyan had left when she did, or she would have had a heart attack. Nah, you being a warlord is important to your people, right? Besides, I don't hate all of you. I like you and Jinbei after all. I like you. I like you. I like you. Those three words echoed in Hancock's head over and over again. She completely blocked out the rest of the sentence. She held her chest, feeling her racing heart. I like you too, she mumbled in a low voice. That's great, that means we'll have a great relationship. Relationship? Does he mean marriage? As always, Hancock's mind had gone into its own world. By the way, Luffy started looking around the ship. His eyes stopped on the section that looked like it was the living quarters. Am I going to stay with you like I did on the Navy ship? Stay with me. Am I going to sleep in your room? It was like a bolt of lightning struck Hancock where she stood. I had completely forgotten about that. Just where is Luffy going to sleep? I can't possibly have him sleep on the deck for 2 weeks. How about having him sleep with one of the girls? Whoa, Hancock, are you okay? You look like Nami every time I ask her for money. Luffy stepped back after seeing the expression on Hancock's face. Sorry, I'm fine. I just thought of something very unpleasant. What, you don't want me to sleep with you? You looked upset when I mentioned it. Luffy frowned. Hancock's face paled. No. She waved her hands around frantically. I don't have a problem sleeping with you, no. I want to sleep with you. Really, are you sure you're not forcing yourself? I'm sure, I'm % sure I want to sleep with you. I want to sleep with you so bad. If you want, I can show you my room right now. Really, let's go. Hancock nodded and directed Luffy in the direction of her room. I'm curious what your room is like. It's nothing special. Don't get your hopes up. The two walked away from the rear of the ship and headed towards the lodgings. Someone stood near where they were frozen. It was Elder Nyan, who had returned at some point. Her jaw was literally on the floor and her eyes spinning in her head. I came back to check on them because I feared Snake Princess would do something wrong. Her brain started short-circuiting as she recalled the conversation. They were talking about sleeping together. What the hell happened in the 5 minutes I was gone? How did their relationship advance that fast? She braced herself on a wall after feeling lightheaded. Snake Princess, it's too early for you. Wait, I forgot she's already. She furrowed her brows. I can't tell if this is a good thing or a bad thing. She looked in the direction they left in. Luffy is surprisingly aggressive about this kind of stuff. She became silent for a bit. What am I kidding? It's those two we're talking about. I definitely misheard the conversation. She started walking in the other direction. Besides, that girl doesn't have it in her to do something like that. Luffy's time on the ship was very eventful. The next couple of days he spent a lot of time with the crew members, even though they tried to make him stay with Hancock as much as possible. The problem was Hancock would overheat every now and again. Luffy is the first thing I see in the morning. We eat together, spend all day chatting, we even sleep together every night. It's like I'm in heaven all the time. Hancock said this while looking like she was on the verge of going to heaven for real. All talk and no bark, Elder Nyan mumbled. Wait. Hancock weakly grabbed her by the hair. Elder Nyan struggled but couldn't break free. Hancock silently threw her overboard. Elder Nyan was quickly rescued and made sure to avoid Hancock for the rest of the day. It was on the day of their voyage they ran into a problem. What do you mean we're out of food? It was in the afternoon when Rant's voice resounded across the ship. I'm telling you we're out of food. With her cigarette hanging from her mouth, Rindo stood before Ran with her hand on her hip. I went to get more food for Cosmos to cook, but the storage was empty. We stored months' worth of food 3 times our voyage to and back from Sabati. Don't get mad at me. I'm just telling you what happened. Rindo plugged her ears with her fingers. This is a disaster. We need to tell the Snake Princess. Ran left to meet Hancock but met Sandersonia and Marigold standing guard in front of her door. We're out of food. She told them about the situation. They looked at each other a bit nervously before looking back at Ran. All right, we'll let our sister know, Marie said. Ran nodded and left. The sisters sighed and knocked on Hancock's door. What is it, Marie? Sonia, elder sister, we have a problem. Sonia was the one to speak. We're out of food. What? Hancock burst through her door. What do you mean we're out of food? What are we going to feed Luffy? Look, he's famished. The sisters looked into Hancock's room. There was a bloated Luffy laying on the ground. He looked like he would roll if you pushed him. He looks fine to me. In fact, he looks like the reason we're out of food, the sisters thought. We can catch fish in the ocean, but we can't rely on that too much in the calm belt unless we fight Sea Kings. Sea Kings. Hancock put her head into the room. Luffy. How do you feel about Sea Kings? Sea Kings, I think they're cool. Why, you ask? How do you feel about eating one? Really, I want to try it. Alright, girls, we're hunting Sea Kings. Hancock pulled out a harpoon from who knows where and looked ready to go. Wait. Elder Nyan was seen running towards her. Right on cue. Sonia, tie her up, she's our bait for today. You insane child. Elder Nyan was breathing heavily. You can't hunt Sea Kings in the calm belt. Silence, woman, my husband desires to dine on Sea King meat, and dine he shall. You stupid girl. Elder Nyan jumped and pulled Hancock's cheek to her level. If you hunt one Sea King, you'll agitate all the others. When that happens, this ship will be sunk in seconds, and we'll all die. Unhand me, you senile woman. The two started wrestling. Where are you getting this strength from, you sack of bones? I may be old, but I was an empress like you. Don't underestimate me. Alright, calm down, you two. Marie and Sonia forced the two of them apart. Let's talk about this in an orderly and calm fashion. Luffy's voice came from out of the room. I don't know why you guys are fighting, but we're out of food, right? He was stuck in the doorway and fighting to come through the door. I feel like I'm partially to blame, so I will help any way I can. Oh, Luffy, you're so kind and considerate, helping out even though you're a guest. Hancock went limp in Marie's arms as she looked at Luffy. No, he's the cause of the crisis in the first place. Marie, Sonia, and Elder Nyan thought in unison but didn't vocalize these thoughts. Alright, it's time to put my fishing skills to the test. Luffy stood at the front of the ship with a fishing rod in hand. Like I said, we can't fish too much in the calm belt, it could attract Sea Kings. Elder Nyan was trying to stop Luffy, but she was held back by Hancock. Let my man provide, Granny. You stupid girl blinded by love. Are you trying to get us all killed? Don't worry, Granny. Luffy turned back to Elder Nyan and pointed at himself with his thumb. If any Sea King comes, I'll beat its ass. That's exactly what I'm avoiding. Beat one and you. Good luck, Luffy. Thanks, Hancock. I will catch the biggest fish you've ever seen. Listen to me, you stupid couple. Luffy threw his line into the ocean and sat on the edge in a relaxed manner. Hancock released Elder Nyan, who was slumped to the ground. You worry too much, Granny. Luffy's gonna catch us enough fish to solve our food crisis. A crisis you and he put us in the first place, Elder Nyan mumbled. Hancock puffed out her chest. Don't worry, everything will be fine. Less than an hour later, something was flying through the air several hundred feet above sea level. It was a ship with 2 giant snakes attached to it. Screams could be heard coming from the ship as it cut through the air like a plane. Damn you, Hancock! Elder Nyan screamed at the top of her lungs as she held on to Murray, who was holding onto the mast. Where's your respect, Granny? Hancock was holding on to the side of the ship as she glared at Elder Nyan. Curse you and your respect, we're about to die because of your stupidity. How is this my fault? How is it not? Ha ha. Luffy was laughing as he held on to one of the snakes. Let's go back a bit to explain the current situation. Alright, I got a nibble. After around minutes, Luffy felt a tug on his line. He pulled his rod and caught a foot-long fish. Alright, I caught dinner. He lifted the fish and roared. A man that can provide. Hancock was heart eyes as usual. Great, you caught something to eat. Now stop before you. Okay, let's catch a ton. Luffy threw his line back into the water while Elder Nyan was speaking. Why do I even try? She went into the shade and sat down. Luffy started catching a lot of fish over the next minutes. Woo, Luffy, you're on a roll. Hancock was behind him cheerleading with pom-poms in her hands. As for where she got them is anybody's guess. Not too far away from her, Elder Nyan was kneeling and mumbling a prayer in a corner. Hancock and Luffy stopped moving. In the next instant, a giant sea king emerged from the sea. The ship was forced back by its emergence. Elder Nyan started praying harder when it appeared, even doing all kinds of hand gestures. So you finally came. Luffy glared at the Sea King with a grin. Okay, let's. How dare a mere overgrown fish interrupts Luffy's fishing. Hancock flew off the ship. Perfume femur. She hit the Sea King with a devastating kick and sent it flying back. She returned to the ship and pointed at the battered creature while doing her famous pose. Your sin is getting in the way of Luffy's enjoyment. Dear Lord, I don't ask for much in my final moments. All I ask is may the next Empress be blessed with common sense. That's all I ask? Because this one doesn't have any. Elder Nyan stood up as numerous shadows cast over the boat. She clasped her hands in front of her chest. Amen. The next second the boat was sent flying through the air by an eel-looking Sea King. Present time. Can you still say you didn't do anything wrong after that flashback? My actions were completely logical for a maiden in love. Oh Lord, common sense, that's all I ask, common sense. Ha! Luffy's laughter grew louder. Why are you laughing, Luffy? Marguerite asked while holding on to the ship for dear life. This just reminds me of my crew. We're always blasting through the air like this. Man, this brings back memories. Your ship flies, that's amazing. I know, right, our shipwright Frankie. Enough reminiscing, we're all about to die if we don't do something. Elder Nyan screamed. Stop exaggerating. This ship is sturdy enough to survive a fall like this. Hancock shrugged. The ship might survive, but the Uda snakes will be crushed by the impact. Can't the snake just use hardening and survive? Luffy asked. Why, I can't tell if you're joking or being serious. Elder Nyan looked at Luffy's smile. My God, he's serious. She was speechless. Ran, Rindo, Cosmo, Daisy, unfasten the Uda and pull them aboard the ship. Hurry. Hancock barked orders as the Kuja pirates sprung into action. They tied ropes around themselves and jumped out of the ship while others held on to them. They quickly unfastened the belts locking the snakes to the ship. The snakes were freed and started floating above the ship. Luffy, I got it. Luffy stretched and wrapped his arms around the snakes and pulled them to the ship. The ship started descending rapidly before crashing into the ocean below. Is everybody okay? Luffy said while lying under one of the snakes. Why yeah, everyone is fine, Marguerite answered with a groan. Elder Nyan was holding on to Marigold with her eyes rolled to the back of her head. She twitched every now and again. Hancock scanned the ship and everyone before going over to Luffy. She lifted the snakes off him and threw them into the water, reattached the Uda snakes to the boat. Yes, ma'am. The Kuja pirate became busy as Hancock stood next to Luffy. Are we still in the calm belt? Sandersonia asked while looking around. There's no wind in the sails, so I'll say we are, Marigold replied. However, we did fly quite a distance. We've definitely drifted off course. It would be great if we could find an island to get an idea of where we are. Around this time, Luffy and Hancock's eyes narrowed. Hancock nodded. There's a round of them. They're moving fast too. Hancock turned to her crew. Everybody get ready, hostiles approaching. At that moment Elder Nyan woke up. Where am I? A shadow cast over her. She looked up and saw 2 pairs of hooves floating above her. Her eyes focused and she saw a blue horse-like creature with fins galloping over her. On it was a person wearing a wetsuit and diving helmet with a cowboy hat. The horse leaped over the ship and landed on the water like it was ground. Elder Nyan looked at the horse-like creature standing on the water surface with its rider, and saw a dozen more jumped over the ship and surround it. She rubbed her eyes and pinched her cheeks while looking at the strange people. After a while she spoke. What the foo? Luffy and the Kuja pirates suddenly found themselves surrounded by a group riding horse-like creatures standing on the water's surface. What the hell are they? Marigold said while looking around. I don't know, but they don't seem friendly. Sandersonia gestures to the rest of the girls. What kind of creature is that, and their suits look so cool, especially their hats. Luffy was bursting with excitement with his eyes sparkling. These guys look so cool. Wait, Luffy, you can't let others see. Elder Nyan stopped talking halfway after a chill ran down her spine. She turned her head to look at Hancock. Hancock was silently staring down at the mysterious riders. The tension around her was stifling as an air of intimidation surrounded her. She walked away from the others and headed to the front of the ship. She leaped and landed on one of the Uda snake's heads. The riders looked up at her. Who dares to block my path? Despite speaking in a low voice, her words were heard clearly by everyone in the vicinity. We don't have to name ourselves, Boa Hancock. A male voice came from one of the riders. We're here because a burst of conqueror's haki rushed forth. Waves formed in the ocean, and strong gusts spread out and hit the creatures and their riders. Ugh! Several of them lost consciousness one after the other. The creatures became frightened and cried. They started to submerge in the water to escape. Soon all but one of the riders were left. It was the one who spoke earlier. However, he was visibly shaken up and clenched the reins in his hands as hard as he could to not fall off. You don't have to name yourself. He looked up at Hancock. He was met with a cold glare voided of compassion and mercy. These cold blue eyes darkened the longer he looked into them. He could feel an icy grasp on his heart, causing his breathing to quicken. Hancock showed a small smile. Do you want to try that again? He kicked the horse's side. It sunk into the water along with him. He's escaping. Hancock's smile grew. Right course of action under most situations. She snapped her fingers and pointed to her left. Rindo landed on the other Uda snake with her bazooka rifle in her hand. She loaded with a harpoon, positioned herself, and took aim. However, you made the mistake of showing arrogance in my presence. Rindo fired. The harpoon flew and hit the water. Seconds later, blood appeared on the water's surface. Rindo pressed a button on the bazooka and the harpoon was retracted. The man was pulled out of the water screaming. The harpoon was lodged into his shoulder. Rindo grabbed the rope and flung him onto the deck. The moment he slammed on the deck, all of the Kuja pirates aimed their bows at him. Welcome to the Perfume Uda, the infamous ship of the even more infamous Kuja pirates. Hancock spoke while still facing the sea. Men from all over the world dream of boarding this ship. The man glared at her back while holding the harpoon stuck in his flesh. She looked over her shoulder with a slight smirk. Be grateful. So this is the Boa Hancock the world knows and fears. Elder Nyan thought as she watched Hancock turn her attention back to the ocean. Luffy leaped and landed next to her. His friends are still around, but they are underwater, Luffy said. Yeah, Hancock frowned. In her mind, I wonder if I was too scary and intimidating for Luffy. What if I seemed too masculine just now? Her thoughts had already gone elsewhere. Hey Hancock, why yes. Do you think I can capture one of those strange horses? A huge grin appeared on his face. I want to show my crew, maybe even keep it as a pet. Hancock smiled. If you want one, then I'll get one for you. Nah, I can get it myself. Water pillars were erected out of the ocean and surrounded the ship in a circle. Luffy grinned. Let's get to it. Bullets fired from the water pillars. They flew at the girls circling the man. Luffy and Hancock popped up in front of them. Luffy stretched his body while Hancock coated her leg in haki. Bullets flew into Luffy's body and shot back out. Hancock swung her leg with a spin. The bullets were crushed and hit the floor. Don't get cocky, Hancock. The water pillars disappeared and enemies appeared in midair. You just caught us off guard, that won't happen again. A woman's voice came from one of the riders. The sea creatures opened their mouth and fired water at the ship. Leave this to us, Sandersonia shouted as she and Marigold transformed into their snake forms. Marigold spat venom into the air with a spin. Venom clashed with water, creating a venomous mist in the air. The sea creatures dove into the water while a few riders landed on the ship. They charged at the girls. Sandersonia blocked their path. Her hair turned into snakes and flew at them. The riders accelerated and evaded the snakes. They disappeared and popped up in front of her. They fired guns at her body. She dodged them with serpentine movements. That movement just now was cipher poles, she thought as her tail flew at her attackers. They twisted themselves out of the way and retreated. They're aiming to jump off the boat. Marigold rapidly spat venom while chasing after them. Several water pillars rose again. The rest of the riders appeared and fired bazookas at her. She was hit but didn't waver even as her body was on fire. The sea creatures fired water and hit her. Ugh, she hit the floor, drained of her strength. The other two leaped off the ship and landed in the water. The rest of the riders dove back underwater. They're trickier than I thought, Hancock mumbled while looking around. She looked at the man that she captured. I suppose you're their leader and they're trying to get you back. The man remained silent. However, Hancock smiled. She used her hands to form a heart. Marrow, marrow, mellow. The man was hit by a beam of hearts and turned into stone. Let's do it like this. Hancock picked up the statue by the rope attached to the harpoon lodged inside it. Luffy, I'll be right back. She looked at Luffy lovingly before walking to the front of the ship with the statue. She lifted the statue up for all to see. I'm going to give you until the count of to resurface or I'm shattering your comrade. She smirked as her eyes shone a red light. She threw the statue into the air. Pillars of water were erected as the enemy flew out of the ocean. Hancock leaped into the air. She kicked the nearest rider in the head. They fell off their steed. She kicked off the horse, forming a gun with her fingers after ing them. Pistol. She fired shots at the three furthest and hit them in the throat. She landed on another creature and kicked off the rider. She leaped off the creature and flew above the riders. With a glare, a rush of conqueror's haki hit everyone below. She blew and a giant heart formed in front of her. Slave arrow. Arrows rained down and struck all of the enemies and their steeds. They all turned into stone statues. This entire sequence happened in a few seconds. Luffy stretched and caught the statues before they dropped into the water. Hancock landed on the ship's deck. Snake Princess, so cool. She was showered in cheers as she flipped her hair. Future sight made everything a lot easier. It takes a lot of concentration to use though. She smiled and approached Luffy. Luffy, did you get your seahorse? Yeah, but it's pretty much stone now. I'll free it soon. She turned away from Luffy and a smile immediately fell from her face. She approached the man's statue. She blew a stream of hearts at the statue. Mezamio. The hearts hit the statue and undue petrification. Ah, the man looked at Hancock with a terrified expression. He looked around and saw statues of all of his comrades. Hey! A slap on his cheek forcibly turned his head back to Hancock. She showed a beautiful smile that soothed his heart for a second before a fearsome dread clenched it. Do you feel like talking now, or do you want me to sink you to the bottom of the ocean? The man looked up at Hancock's beautifully cold smile, and chills ran down his spine. He bit his lip so hard it started bleeding. Hancock's eyes widened a bit. Using pain to distract yourself from my beauty so my powers won't work on you. She straightened her body. My fruit's powers are public knowledge, but the only people who would hurt themselves before me without hesitation are those who study its weaknesses. People who know they need to do it survive. In other words, people who plan to be my enemy. Hancock snapped her fingers and the girls aimed arrows at the man's vitals. Wait, Snake Princess. Elder Nyan made her way toward Hancock. This man's comrades used a cipher pole technique. He might have connections to the world government. Killing him could be troublesome in the long run. Cipher pole, ah, that pigeon guy's friends, huh? Luffy mumbled. The man turned his head and looked at Luffy. His eyes widened the longer he looked at him. Straw Hat Luffy, you're alive. Huh, what are you talking about? Of course I'm alive. Luffy looked at the man as if he was stupid. Luffy, you're not supposed to be seen on our ship. Elder Nyan sighed. Ah, my bad. Luffy grinned. Well, we just got one more reason to dispose of him. Hancock spoke with a small smile. I said wait, Snake Princess. Elder Nyan approached the man. Young man, if you're smart you'll start talking. This is a ship of man-hating women. They have no problem sinking you to the bottom of the ocean. I'm not afraid of. Then what about your comrades? Elder Nyan pointed at the statues behind her. You might not care about your life, but what about theirs? They risked their lives to protect you. That's proof of a strong bond. If you don't talk, then we'll be forced to try and get information out of them. She moved closer to whisper in his ear. Statues are more fragile than you think. If you're not careful, you might break them. The man flinched. Elder Nyan continued. What do you think would happen if their petrification was released after a limb or two accidentally broke off? Do you think they wouldn't feel it, or will the pain hit them all at once? What if we're from the government like you say? Unfortunately for you, the captain of this ship thinks she's above the world government. Also, you saw someone you shouldn't have. Elder Nyan stepped back with a smile. You can't imagine how far a woman would go for her beloved. You people are devils. No. Hancock at her fingers and formed a gun with them. A small heart appeared at the tip of her finger. She pointed her finger at the man's head. We're pirates. Sometime later. You weren't too bad, Granny. Yeah, you made that guy shake in his boots. Marie and Sonia were praising Elder Nyan. With age comes experience and skills. Elder Nyan blushed as she puffed out her chest proudly. She did something unnecessary. I was going to dump him in the ocean. Hancock was frowning while leaning on a wall. They were near the lodgings watching the man being guarded by Ran and Rindo. Luffy was busy examining the statues of the sea creatures. The statues of their riders were in front of Hancock. She rested her foot on one of their heads while locking eyes with the man. Snake Princess, he's ready to talk. Ran came up to them and reported. Finally, if Granny hadn't insisted we give him time to think, I would have already forced the info out of him. It's better for us if he willingly talks rather than we torture it out of him. That way the government won't be as mad if he's connected. Hancock ignored Elder Nyan and approached the man. He looked at Hancock and frowned. My name is… I couldn't care less about your name. Just tell me who you people are. Hancock cut him off. We're sea guards. What are you guarding? Bounty Island. We're making sure nobody knows where it is. Bounty Island. Hancock looked at Elder Nyan, who shook her head. I've never heard of it. I wonder if it's a government facility. Bounty Island doesn't belong to the world government, but the people there do work closely with them. Bounty. Hancock thought about it for a bit before a look of realization appeared on her face. Bounty hunters. You're protecting an island of bounty hunters. Something like that exists. I've never heard of such a thing. Marie and Sonia spoke with raised brows. It makes sense we would never hear about it, Elder Nyan said. Think about it. An island of people who hunt pirates for a living. There's no way pirates wouldn't destroy it if its existence was widespread. In fact, it's possible it's a secret even in the world government. So them being hostile to pirates makes sense. She looked at the man. The problem is the Kuja Pirates is a government ally. There's no reason to attack us when the Snake Princess bounty is frozen. You are still pirates. We can't afford for any pirates to get even an idea where we are, the man answered. Then, you intended to dispose of us from the beginning. He didn't answer Hancock's question. Yet Hancock was smiling. I continue to see no merit in not sinking you to the bottom of the ocean. Wait a minute, Snake Princess. There are still many things we need to ask. For example, are you connected to Cipher Pole also? Where is the island? Elder Nyan stopped Hancock from readying her prettification pose. I will never tell you where the island is. It will be the same for the others. There's too much to lose. I only told you of its existence in the hope you would spare my allies once you know of its purpose and importance to the world government. If you insist on knowing its location, it would be better for you to key. Mero Mellow. The man was hit by a beam of hearts and turned to stone. Snake Princess. Silence, Granny. This is getting us nowhere. Hancock dismissed Elder Nyan and picked up the statue. Don't destroy it. You're annoying, woman. I'm not going to destroy him. She started examining the statue. His suit has pockets. I wonder if there's an eternal pose that could lead us to the island. Elder Nyan's face brightened up. Snake Princess is actually using her head. I'm starting to think you want me to kill you. Hancock dropped the statue. Arguing with him is a waste of time. We're currently short on supplies, so we need to find a way to get some. If there's no eternal pose, we'll have to think of another way to find the island. I can't believe you're thinking that far ahead. Of course I am. She pointed to Luffy, who was trying to ride the statues of the sea creatures. Luffy needs food and it's my job to provide it as his wife. I don't care if there's a continent full of bounty hunters. I'm gonna get Luffy some food. So you can only use your full potential when it's for Luffy. Fool. Hancock looked offended. I always push beyond my limits for Luffy. If I needed to turn into a mermaid for him, I would grow gills on the spot. Don't underestimate my love. Once again I'm reminded how crazy this woman is. Elder Nyan silently thought. Luffy, do you want to go to an island of bounty hunters? Hancock sweetly called out to Luffy. Bounty hunters? I haven't met any before, let's go. Luffy had casually forgotten Zoro was a bounty hunter, and he went to an island full of them before. You heard him, girls. Hancock released the petrification on a couple of the riders. She grabbed them by the collar and lifted them in the air. Let's get straight to the point. Where's Bounty Island and how do we get there? Wah, you're taking too long. Luffy is getting impatient. She started to vigorously shake them. She threw them to the ground and turned them back to stone. She then released another 2 and repeated the cycle. This woman needs help, Elder Nyan mumbled. I'm glad you agree, Granny, so stop looking dumb and help me empty their pockets. I didn't mean easy, yes. Hancock and the girls searched the riders and took everything they had with overwhelming aggressiveness. After a few hours, they were all petrified again, but with horrified expressions this time. We didn't find an eternal pose on them. Is it possible they know which direction the island is in at all times, or could it be their seahorses instinctively know where it is? She thought about it for a bit before a small grin appeared on her face. I have an idea. The leader of the riders woke up staring at the sky. After a few seconds of processing, he realized he was floating in the ocean. What the? He straightened his body and started looking around. Around him were his comrades' bodies floating along with their steeds. Hey, he swam to the nearest one and started examining her. She's alive. He checked on the rest and breathed a sigh of relief. They're all alive. What the hell happened here? He started looking around again. Is that? He noticed large pieces of planks floating some distance away. He swam over there. When he reached, he started examining the wood. I knew it. This came from a ship. He immediately knew what ship it came from. There's a lot floating around. He looked around again and noticed something hitched to the planks. It was a piece of a dress. He immediately remembered Hancock. She was definitely wearing this. He grabbed the cloth and spotted red stains on it and frowned. He turned his head and saw more torn pieces of female clothing. There was something else he spotted as well. It was a torn black cloth with a skull with 9 snakes around it. The Kuja Jolly Roger. Around him were more broken or torn items he recognized from his time on the ship, even a steering wheel. He thought about everything around him in silence for a while before swimming back to his allies. Hey, wake up. Captain. One of his comrades woke up with a confused expression. Hurry up and focus, we need to move. He swam towards the others and woke them one by one. Captain, what happened? I thought we were done for. Also, where are our wetsuits and helmets? His comrades started asking questions one after the other. Get on your carros and let's go. He hopped on his stead and everybody did the same. Wait, Captain. We can't dive with the carros like this. Is that okay? We don't have a choice. That's why we must hurry before the Sea Kings return. The rest hopped on their steads, the carros. The captain rode off first, and they all followed. All right, I can tell you're all wondering what the hell happened and why we're able to get away like this. Here's my theory. I'm not certain, but everything I saw when I examined our surroundings points to what I'm about to say. The captain glanced back at his comrades before speaking again. I believe the Kuja pirates were attacked by Sea Kings and suffered serious damage or possible annihilation. Eyes widened in shock as he continued. I say this because of what I saw. There was debris of the ship floating along with their Jolly Roger, and pieces of clothing with blood on it, including Hancock's. Everything pointed to them being attacked by Sea Kings, probably drawn to them by our battle. Then why are we alive? My guess is that we were spared by the Sea Kings because we were statues when they attacked. We fell in the ocean and started to sink. Once Boa Hancock's life ended, so did the petrification, and we floated back up. Then why don't we have our suits and helmets? They most likely were planning to rob us of our equipment and carros when it happened. That makes sense. They were searching us and taking everything off us. Although Boa Hancock was so eccentric I couldn't make out what she was saying. Everyone thought about it for a while and soon accepted the captain's theory. Keep in mind, what I said is merely a theory. The Kuja could still be alive. Whether they're around or fled to save their lives, regardless, we must report to the mayor. The captain spoke with a serious tone and everybody nodded. Luffy's face flashed in his mind. I especially need to tell him about Straw Hat, he mumbled. Unknown to him, there was a massive shadow following them hundreds of feet below. This massive shadow was one of the Uda snakes that pulled the Kuja's ship. Some great distance away. Ha 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 ha, they took the bait just like I said they would. Hancock was laughing while Elder Nyan looked at her in shock. Let's go back a bit to explain the situation. We're gonna fake our deaths, Marigold asked with a confused expression. We don't need to convince them we're actually dead. We just need to make them believe we were attacked and they were spared by some miracle. Basically, as long as they let their guard down and willfully go home, we win, Hancock explained with a small grin. I don't get it. What would any of that do? I know one's mind gets slower with age, so I was going to explain it further, Granny. Hancock ignored the enraged Elder Nyan and continued. First, we're gonna strip them of their wetsuits and helmets. Then we're going to tear parts of the ship and throw it into the ocean to look like ship wreckage. After, we'll throw a torn copy of our Jolly Roger along with torn up pieces of clothing with our blood on it. This is all to create realism. Wait, this ship is the pride of our tribe, especially the Jolly Roger. You can't just. Silence, old woman. We're just going to discard the unimportant parts and the steering wheel. We'll collect them back later. Also, it's just a copy of our Jolly Roger, Hancock dismissed Elder Nyan. After we create the perfect Sea King attack aftermath, we throw them in the ocean, deactivate the petrification, and sail away. Oh, we might need to free them once, knock them out, and then petrify them again first. After we sail away, we wait until they wake up and come up with their own theory of what happened and leave. She pointed at the Uda snakes. These two were born and raised together. They can find the other no matter how far apart, like a homing instinct. We'll release one and have her follow them. Because Sea Kings fear Uda snakes, she'll be fine. Also, because we took their suits, they'll have no choice but to travel on the sea surface, so she'll go undetected. She follows them to Bounty Island and we follow from some distance. Everyone looked at Hancock in shock before the girls started cheering. I don't really get it, but we'll find a new island to explore, right? Luffy asked. Hancock nodded. Let's go. His face brightened up, which causes Hancock to smile. I can't believe it. It's actually a great plan with small chances of failure. Elder Nyan looked at Hancock with a perplexed expression. Where was this intellect all this time? You know, it would be more convincing if we had at least one corpse floating among the rubble. It seems you're eager to volunteer. Hancock walked away from Elder Nyan. If you must know, love makes a person go above and beyond to make their lover happy. She said that earlier. She wasn't joking. Present time. Elder Nyan was looking at Hancock, who was excitingly explaining to Luffy her plan worked. She looked at her in silence for a while and then frowned with wrinkled brows. What a waste of potential. She shook her head and walked away. Can only be smart when it's for her mana goddamn waste. The Kuja's ship moved in the direction of the Uda snake, trailing the riders. Elder sister, I have a question. What is it, Sonia? Sonia approached Hancock, who was watching Luffy help retrieve the pieces of the ship they threw into the ocean. Are we just going to land on the island as we are? That's a good question. Attacking ships are our forte, but we don't normally raid islands. Also, what if Luffy gets angry? He's the purest soul in the world after all. Hancock looked at Luffy, who was messing with the steering wheel he took out of the ocean. If our objective is just resupplying, it wouldn't be a problem normally. But this is an island that's hidden from the world. If we go there as pirates, a battle will break out. Worst case scenario, we'll be forced to fight thousands of bounty hunters, she mumbled. So then we're not going as pirates, in other words, we're going to disguise ourselves. That's right, Marie, Hancock grinned. Girls, it's time for a makeover. After riding their carros for a few hours, the captain and his comrades saw a slight distortion in front of them. We're here. They continued to ride until they vanished one by one. The Uda snake that was following them from below continued to swim until the carros stopped. It slowly swam to the surface and peeked out of the water. It spotted the carros stopping on an island. After peeking for a few seconds, it submerged itself again and swam in the opposite direction at full speed for a few minutes. It stopped, emerged out of the water, and waited. Sometime later, it could spot the Kuja's ship. It swam towards it and jumped on the ship. Welcome back. Hancock pet the snake. I don't see an island, but I take it we just need to go forward. The snake nodded. All right, lead us. The snake jumped back into the water and the ship followed behind it. It stopped after a bit, and so did the ship. I don't see anything, Marguerite mumbled. Shoot an arrow, Marguerite. Why yes, Snake Princess. Marguerite quickly fired an arrow and it vanished into space. This surprised a lot of people. What's going on? Luffy became excited. He extended his arm and stretched in front of the ship. A part of his arm vanished before his eyes. That's so cool. Luffy became even more excited. Luffy, how do you feel? Is your hand okay? Hancock was panicking, looking back and forth between Luffy's face and his vanishing arm. I'm fine, I'm fine. He pulled his arm back and his arm reappeared. Hancock breathed a sigh of relief. That's great. Although I would still love you if you were armless, I don't want to see you hurt. It looks like a mirage of sorts, Elder Nyan commented while looking at Luffy stretching several parts of his body to make them vanish. I heard about something like this. I think it was called a Fata Morgana. However, it was supposed to disappear when you get closer. Luffy swung his head and stretched his neck. His head vanished, causing Hancock to nearly faint. After a few seconds, his head came back. I see an island, Luffy shouted and pointed in front of him. So it is there, Elder Nyan said as Hancock pulled herself together. Since we know it's there, and we know it's safe to go forward. It's time for the next phase of operation, feed Luffy. Meanwhile, the riders had arrived on the island. You guys go see your families. Today must have opened your eyes that every moment with them is special. The captain spoke while putting on clothes given to him by someone at the port. The others were doing the same. What about you, Captain? I'm going to report to the mayor and the sheriff about what happened. I'll meet my family later. He said his goodbyes and headed deeper into the island. After leaving the port, he ventured through a town. The town's road was crowded with people wearing jeans, boots, button-up shirts, and occasional cowboy hats. There were bars, inns, salons, and various vintage buildings. The town seems a bit noisy today, the captain mumbled. It's a duel. A shout drew his attention. He spotted a crowd forming ahead of him. A duel, huh? He entered the crowd and saw two men facing off with pistols in their hands. Between them was a woman wearing a brown poncho with pink butterflies on it. Her pink ponytail swayed as she looked at both men. Lady Korea is the referee today, the captain mumbled. All right, you know the rules. No hockey-coated bullets. Using armament to block is forbidden. You both get one shot. If you miss, that's your problem. Finally, no matter the result of the duel, all grudge will be buried right now, so no vendetta. The woman, Korea, looked back and forth at the men again. Do you understand? The men nodded. Good luck, men. Korea moved out of the way. The crowd opened up and gave the men space. They loaded their guns and brought them to their sides. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. The men lifted their guns and fired at each other. A tense silence covered the area. The two men stared each other down with smoking guns in their hands. After a while, Korea spoke. You both missed. Phew. The men let out a huge sigh of relief. I thought I was dead. I saw my dead grandma. Wait, she's not dead. Then who did I see? The men fell to their butts with their legs shaking. The crowd quickly dispersed. Well, the duel is over and you two need to accept the results. Put all of your grudges behind you. Korea approached the men and looked down on them. Lady Korea, we can't do that. That's right, what that guy said is unforgivable. The men sprung to their feet and started shouting. Are you two going to ignore the sacred rules of this island? The men quickly closed their mouths. Despite the men towering over her, Korea made them feel small. Their throats dried and tightened up. Their hearts started to race. Breathing became difficult. And no, we would never. The men faced each other and shook hands. See, we're letting bygones be bygones. Really? Korea's face brightened up. That's great. I thought you were still angry with each other. If you were, I would have to cut you both down to prevent future trouble. She started patting them. That's great. That's really great. The men nervously looked down on the girl that wasn't even. Her innocent smile was genuine. This girl meant every word she said. This fact made her even more terrifying. We're going now. All right, I'll see you around. Korea waved at the men as they went their separate ways. Lady Korea, the captain approached her. Hey, Connor. You're back from your recon. Did you see anything strange? Connor nodded. I want to see the mayor and sheriff to let them know what's going on. I see. I saw the sheriff by the orphanage. Tate should still be in his home office. Orphanage, huh? Thanks. Tell me what happened later. All right. Connor parted ways with Korea and walked until he exited the town. He was in a residential area based on hills. After walking for a while, he stopped in front of the gates leading to a mansion. He pushed the shell of a snail on the gate. "See guards, Captain Connor here to report something to the mayor. You may enter," a voice came from the speakers. He opened the gates as small snails watched his every move. After reaching the mansion, he lifted his hand to knock. "Yo, Connor." Before he could knock, the door swung open. Connor found himself looking at a burly chest with pecs twice his head. He looked up and saw a brown-skinned man looking down on him. Connor's face reflected in his green eyes. "Mayor Tate." The mayor stepped outside. "The fact you came all the way here, I take it something happened." Connor nodded. "We ran into some pirates." "Which crew?" "Kuja pirates. I figured we'd run into them one day since we're both on the comm belt, so, did you take care of them?" "No. Boa Hancock was too much for us." "Figures. However, I suspect the crew was annihilated by Sea Kings." Tate smirked. "Oh, tell me more." "I will, but there's something more important I need to report." "More important than the possible death of a warlord?" Connor nodded. "Monkey D. Luffy was on their ship and he didn't seem to be a captive of theirs. In fact, he looked like an important guest." Tate's eyes widened. A huge grin quickly appeared on his face. "Tell me more." At the same time on the perfume Yuta. "Well, what are you doing?" "Calm down, Elder Nyan, we need to disguise everybody." "Even if you say that, what the hell are you people making me wear?" Loud voices came from the ship's living quarters. The ship itself was undergoing a transformation as the girls removed or modified certain parts. "Silence, old woman, are you trying to interfere with my plans?" "Senile woman, what you're doing is madness." "I'm madly in love, so of course I'm going to do madness." "Sonia, Marie, gag her and finish the transformation." "Yes, elder sister." Marguerite looked in the direction of the noise with a concerned look. "Will everything really go according to plan?" The day after surviving the Kuja pirates, Connor was at a pub drinking with Korea. "You ran into some pirates and almost died." "That's right. We got saved by Sea Kings." He drank from his jug of beer. "And you won't say which pirate crew was it?" "Sorry, the mayor's orders. He put a gag order on all of us to not tell a soul what we saw." "I see." Korea drank from her jug as well. "I thought you'd be upset. If the mayor put a gag order on it, there must be a good reason." "I won't push too much." "You always try to follow the rules, huh?" "Of course. Rules keep everything in order. It's essential we all follow them." "The mayor broke the rules though," Connor thought. He recalled the day before. "You want me to keep what happened a secret? Why?" "Because I don't intend to tell the world government." Tate wore a grin on his wolf-like face. "But a warlord could possibly be dead. Even if she isn't, she's aiding Straw Hat Luffy. Shouldn't we leave it, Connor?" Tate's sharp tones silenced Connor. "I don't know why he was like that yesterday," Connor thought while taking another drink of his beer. "However, for the guys responsible for guarding the island, you sure are weak if you need Sea Kings to save you." Korea took another drink. "The opponent was just too much. We aren't members of the Supreme Five like you. We can't defeat pirates on the level of the supernovas. That's because you guys aren't dedicated enough. Look at me, I make it my mission to cut down every pirate swordsman I come across. The amount of times I nearly died or lost a limb is impossible to count. Even so, I still hunt them." Connor remained silent. He knew she wouldn't understand his point. "Anyway, what did the sheriff say about what happened, or does he not know?" "I'm sure the mayor will tell him. Those two are partners in crime after all." Connor took another drink. "By the way, what were those two guys dueling for anyway?" "Oh, them. They were talking about beautiful pirate women. One guy said Boa Hancock isn't the most beautiful woman in the world and that she's overrated." Cough, cough. Connor started choking on his drink. "Pretty stupid, right?" "Why, yeah." He wiped his mouth. "So what, did the other guy get angry?" "He did. He said the guy was an idiot and asked who is more beautiful than Hancock." The first guy answered Cat Burglar Nami from the Straw Hat Pirates. Cough, cough. Connor choked on his drink again. "You good?" "Yeah, I'm fine. My throat is a bit sore today." He put down his jug. "So they started fighting because of that?" "No, they agreed to disagree. What started the fight was when someone asked who was better, Nico, Robin, or Nami." "Okay, I get how it led to a duel to death," Connor said while nodding. "I never understood why you guys get so caught up in these conversations that you'll risk your lives." Korea pointed at Connor. "I mean, didn't you get in a duel for something similar?" "Hey, that guy said Jewelry Bonnie looked like Big Mom. He's lucky I only shot him in the shoulder after such blasphemy." Yeah, Korea took another drink. Connor dug into his pocket and took out a mini den moshi that was ringing. Hello, Captain, we've spotted a few boats approaching the island. Connor stood up and whispered to the snail responder. Do you see the Kuja mark? No, sir. From what we're seeing from our telescope, there's a mix of men and women, with men being the large majority. So it isn't the Kuja. What should we do, Captain? They look to be in trouble. Let them dock. The rules state we check the identities of those who find the island before we decide their fates. Connor ended the call and turned to Korea. We have visitors, the same guys from yesterday. We're not sure yet. It would be great if you help us check out the situation. Sure, let's do it. The others will probably be there anyway. At the port, a crowd gathered to watch two boats approach the island. They looked like they could fall apart at any moment. As it came close enough to see those on it clearly, someone stood up. Help us, please, our ship was attacked by pirates, and we were forced to flee into the calm belt. Connor arrived at the port with Korea at that time. They have paddles. Did they paddle their way here? Korea mumbled. In the calm belt, that's insane. You'll need to be incredibly strong to do something like that. Connor frowned. Before we allow you to land, which pirate crew attack you? He shouted. We were attacked by a single pirate. Hawkeye, my hawk, our ship happens to cross him, and he cut it with one swing. We boarded the emergency boats and paddled like crazy to get away from him. The person shouted back. My hawk. Korea started gritting her teeth. It does sound like something Hawkeye would do. He's known to be randomly violent after all. Where was your ship going? Sabati Archipelago. That is close by. What are you doing? Connor spun around after a familiar voice came from behind him. There, Tate was smiling at him. Let them dock here. But Mayor, what if? Korea, what's our rule regarding castaways? We save them first, then ask questions later. Tate nodded and patted Connor's shoulder. You guys come ashore, however, you'd be under surveillance. Tate shouted. We're fine with that, thank you very much. Tate nodded. Korea, you deal with them. Connor, take your men and search our surroundings. See if anybody followed them. Yes, sir. Connor looked at Tate a bit before running off. Okay, Korea. You're up. Yes, Mayor. Korea saluted and went to the docks to await the boats. Tate watched as the boats approached. Let's hope you repay me for this favor. He turned his back and walked away. Korea reached the docks and waited for the boats to reach her. Thank you, you saved our lives. Someone came out of the boat and grabbed her hands and shook it. They shook her so hard Korea's feet were almost off the ground. See, calm down. Ah, sorry. They let go of her hand. Korea looked up at the person. It was a slender man dressed in a suit with a cigarette in his mouth. His slick black hair was dripping with water, causing his face to be wet. My name is Rindo, captain of the now sunken Blue Maria. The rest of the people exited the boats and also thanked Korea. She looked around and they were mostly men and a few women. They all started thanking her. Welcome to our island. Allow me to show you around. Thank you again. Korea started leading the group with crowds of people watching. One of the men wore a small smile on his handsome face. Letting Rindo take charge was the right call. She'll draw all the attention to herself while we blend in. This handsome man was the world's most beautiful woman, Boa Hancock. She looked to her side. A girl with curly blonde hair was pulling on her dress as if uncomfortable. Hancock nudged the girl with her elbow and they stopped. Ah, Luffy. I never thought you'd look this beautiful as a woman. You're truly the most beautiful woman in the world, she screamed in her head. Behind her was a short, bald old man with a huge mole on his nose. He was glaring at the back of Hancock as if trying to pierce a hole in her head. The man's clothes were pretty much patched up clothing and looked old. His overall image was that of an elderly beggar. I will remember this humiliation, Boa Hancock. The man, Elder Nyan, cursed under her breath. Let's go back to the day before to explain the current situation. We're going to disguise ourselves and go on the island tomorrow. Hancock had gathered her crew to give them instructions. Daisy, you'll be in charge of the disguises. We'll be using the male clothing you've been collecting from those we robbed. Awesome, I get to mess with everybody's faces. Daisy's big smile grew bigger as makeup brushes and other various items appeared in her hands. Wait, we're going to disguise as men, can that even work? Elder Nyan asked. Daisy is skilled at makeup and stuff like that. She sometimes practices on the others all the time. She even stole clothes to use as practice. If you're not convinced of her skills, we'll use you as a practice dummy. Hancock clapped and the girls held on to Granny. Hey, what are you doing? Unhand me. We're going to finally make some use of you. Hancock smirked as Daisy slowly approached Elder Nyan. No, wait, stay back, I would be ugly as an old man. You're already ugly now. So what's the difference? What did you say, little bee? Hey, why are you taking my cloak off? Stop, this is elder abuse. Chaos ensued as the girls changed Elder Nyan's appearance. After a while, she had been transformed into an old man. What did you do to me? She screamed in horror as she looked in the mirror. It looks good on you, Granny. Why, you look just how I'd imagine. Hancock was fighting to keep herself from laughing. Elder Nyan dejectedly fell to her knees and stared off into the distance. Now that you've seen Daisy's skill firsthand, let me continue to explain our plan. Hancock put on a stoic expression. We will take half of the crew and use lifeboats to approach the island. The other half will take the ship and move away so it doesn't get found when they patrol the area. She pointed at her sisters. Sandersonia and Marigold will remain here on the ship to make sure everything is safe. We will keep you updated with a call at midnight every day. If we miss one midnight call and still haven't called by the morning, you guys are to invade the island with the intention of burning it to the ground. Yes, sister. Marie and Sonia nodded with serious expressions. Rindo, Daisy, Cosmo, Marguerite, Rand, Sweet Pea, and Aphilandra will follow me and Luffy to the island. I'm coming too. Elder Nyan sprung up. If we leave everything up to you, we might end up fighting the entire island. Well, you already look the part, so why not? Besides, I can secretly ditch you on the island. Hancock whispered the last part. What was that? Anyway, our objective is to get supplies to last us until we reach Sabidi. We also need to figure out where on the calm belt we are. With this in mind, we will spend days on this island. I want to know what's the deal with this island too. The government might be hiding something we can use to negotiate better conditions with them. Elder Nyan added. All I care about is feeding Luffy, so do what you want as long as it doesn't interfere with that. Hancock was dismissive. We will go with the story. We were on a cruise ship heading to Sabidi, but it was attacked by Dracula Mihawk. Mihawk where? Luffy started looking around. He's not here, Luffy. It's a lie. Oh, I see. It's adorable how clueless he can be sometimes. Hancock looked at Luffy with a flushed face for a while before pulling herself together. Ahem. Like I was saying, we'll use Hawkeye's name because of his infamous whimsical behavior. We will damage the lifeboats a bit to make it look like we made a desperate escape. Rindo will then act as the former captain and do all the talk. Really sick. Rindo's eyes sparkled. Why Rindo, Snake Princess? Ran asked. That's because Rindo is very sociable and is able to talk herself out of trouble, as you should experience many times before. Ran nodded. If there's any other reason, Luffy and I are too famous. We need someone to draw attention from us as much as possible. Especially the women. We need the women to stay away from Luffy as much as possible. Hancock looked at Luffy. Luffy, do you want a disguise too? Sounds fun. That's good. I have the perfect disguise. A small grin appeared on her face, one that will surely keep the girls away. Present time. Korea was unknowingly leading the disguised Kuja pirates deeper into the island while Rindo was talking to her. Our every move is being watched, Hancock thought while scanning the area with her eyes. I can sense a few strong presences. She looked at Korea's back. That girl is incredibly strong. Outside of Luffy and myself, there's no one in our crew who can beat her. She's pretty small though. I wonder what kind of fighting style she uses. She scanned the area again. There are two presences on the same level as her watching us in this town. She spread her senses a bit more. Her eyes widened. Luffy, the hills. Luffy nodded to her whispers. There's a really strong guy up there. Luffy's grin was unbecoming of the lady he was currently portraying as. Hey, don't you think that girl is a little ugly? Yeah, especially when she's next to that tall, handsome guy. Huh. Hancock's head spun around like an owl's as she looked behind her with bloodshot eyes. Ugly, who dares to call my lover ugly? Eck. Her demonic expression, cold tone, and the inhumane way her head twisted around sent shivers down the woman's spine. Was it you, you hideous baboon-looking bit? Elder Nyan jumped up and covered Hancock's mouth. Stop picking fights with an island of combatants. Hancock glared at the girls with crazed eyes as Elder Nyan had Luffy drag her away. Do you want us to all be killed? We just got here. Elder Nyan scolded Hancock, who melted in Luffy's arms. Don't bother me, old man. Can't you see I'm in heaven? Her body started to look like goo as if she actually melted. What's wrong, Luffy? She looked up when Luffy stopped walking. He was looking around with a troubled expression. What is this? What are yo? Hancock swallowed her words. She stood up straight and looked around. What's going on here? What's with you two? Elder Nyan was perplexed by their behavior. Are you guys coming? Korea stopped and called out to them. We're coming now, come on, let's go. Elder Nyan spoke with a rough voice and started pushing Hancock and Luffy. They started walking but weren't even hiding the fact they were looking around as if searching for something. What's with you two? You're drawing unnecessary attention, Elder Nyan whispered. I know you've gotten old, but I can't believe your hockey has diminished to such a pitiful level. How are you not sensing this anomaly? Hancock spat out while still looking around. Can't you just explain without disrespecting me? There's one big presence, Luffy muttered. How big? I don't know if big is the right word. I think it's more vast than anything, Hancock added. I'm not getting what you're trying to say. What we're trying to say is there's a single presence covering this whole town. Hancock shook her head. This whole island. Do you know where it's coming from? Hancock and Luffy nodded after some hesitation. That guy sitting on that stool over there. That old woman watering those flowers. That couple eating together. That teen watching us from the roof. That bartender preparing drinks. The more Hancock and Luffy pointed out people, the wider Elder Nyan's eyes became. What you're saying is... Wait, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't, but it's happening right now. Hancock's eyes narrowed. The countless people on this island share a singular presence, as if they're all a part of a single entity. There was one huge presence that could be sensed by Luffy and Hancock, but they couldn't find the source of it. The reason being countless people around them share the same presence. This was alarming to hear for Elder Nyan. What's going on? Is it an ability? She mumbled. Don't know. Rayleigh never told me about anything like this. At least I can't remember if he did, Luffy mumbled. I heard there are hockey masters who can completely kill their presence and make it impossible for someone to sense them or predict their future. However, I can't tell if this is something opposite of that or something else, Hancock answered. For the time being, let's ignore. Hey, butterfly girl, Luffy suddenly called out to Korea, causing her to turn around. Elder Nyan looked at him with a begging expression. Yes, a lot of people here share a presence like they're the same person. Why is that? Luffy Elder Nyan screamed in her head. She looked at Hancock for support. Ah, so brave. However, she was a lost cause. Curse this stupid couple, she screamed internally. Korea turned around and looked at Luffy. People around them also started looking at him. I was beginning to wonder if any of you were ever going to ask. Elder Nyan wore a confused expression. Korea started smiling. I thought none of you had hockey, which I found odd considering you're all pretty strong. Her eyes narrowed. If you hadn't said anything, I would have thought you guys were plotting something. Well, then Luffy did the right thing. Elder Nyan had to try her best to hide her shock. Let's see, there are two answers to your question. The first answer is that the people of this island have a special power where they can subconsciously join their presence together. This throws off hockey users. And the other answer? Elder Nyan asked. We don't know. It's the truth. What I said before is just a theory we came up with. In reality, no one knows the reason. It's been this way since I was born, and the elders here don't have an answer either. However, I did hear it started happening almost years ago. That's rather recent. I see. Thanks. Luffy thanked Korea with a smile. Don't worry, it's natural to be curious about it. She turned her back to them and continued walking. Follow me. I'll lead you to the hospital to check if any of you are injured. After that, we'll bring you to meet the mayor and discuss what's your next course of action. Thank you again, Korea. Rindo once again started chatting her up. Our question wasn't really answered, but it's best we don't press the issue. Luffy, you were so brave. Really, I was just curious, and you didn't hesitate to get answers. I admire that. I see. Thanks, I guess. Hancock and Luffy ignored Elder Nyan and entered their own world. She silently followed them with a blank stare. After walking for a while, the group arrived at a hospital. They were attended to by the nurses and doctors there. Of course, the wounds on them were all self-afflicted to make their cover story more believable. Yo, Korea. While they were getting treatment, someone came in speaking with an upbeat tone. Like everybody else, he was dressed in cowboy attire minus the hat. Instead, he wore a hooded poncho. You're just coming to see what's going on now. Korea's frowning face reflected in the man's hazel eyes. A smile appeared on his face. I was kinda busy talking to the mayor. I'm here because he sent me to check if everything was okay on your end. I find that hard to believe when this hospital is in his observation hockey range. The man only smiled in response before turning to Hancock and the others. Hello, everyone. My name is Franz Zapata and I'm the top bounty hunter on this island. Franz felt a cold sensation at his neck. He looked down and saw a scalpel pressed against his throat. Don't even joke about that. It's disrespectful to the mayor who worked hard to obtain his position. Franz lifted his hands up. My bad. Then can I say the best young bounty hunter? That's even worse. How is that worse? Because that's disrespectful to me. Hold up. Franz grabbed Korea's arm. Don't tell me you actually think you're better than me. Am I better than a guy who has the stamina of a koala? Of course. I can't let that slide. Did you forget I lost to that giant koala in a foot race? You're dissing koalas, comparing them to me. If one thing, you're the most shameless bounty hunter. I'll admit that, but you're the clumsiest. He pointed at the Kuja. You didn't even notice you revealed this is an island of bounty hunters to the guests when you mentioned how the mayor got his title. Korea looked at the Kuja with her eyes peeled. That's. Wait, you're the one who revealed it. I did, however you're still clumsy. Franz grinned. You failed to notice their lack of reaction to us being bounty hunters or the true nature of this land as if they already knew from the beginning. It was Kuja's eyes that peeled open this time. We messed up this guy. From his introduction to the pointless banter with that girl, everything he's done since he came here was to test us. Elder Nyan started panicking internally while Hancock's face was deadpan. Luffy looked lost. You misunderstand, Franz Zapata. Rindo stepped forward. It's not that we knew these stuff already. It's just compared to nearly dying at the hands of the Hawkeye Mihawk. After that, not many things can shock us. Maybe once we've calmed down and relaxed it will finally hit us. She was all smiles, however, Korea wasn't. An icy gaze fell on Rindo. Not good, she's already on the defensive. Rindo glanced at Hancock. Snake Princess, we might be in trouble here. Hancock nodded as if reading her thoughts. Luffy sensed the change in the atmosphere and put on a serious expression. Tension filled the hospital. I see, so it was a misunderstanding. Franz's voice broke the tension. Looks like I was reading too much into it. He started laughing. Come on, Korea. Relax, you're scaring the guests. They just had a scary experience. Let's not traumatize them any further. He placed his hand on her shoulder. A misunderstanding. She glanced at him. That's right. I overreacted. Korea looked at him for a while before frowning. Don't say things if you aren't sure. You made me put my guard up for nothing. She stomped on his feet and stormed off. My bad, my bad. Franz laughed while Korea went to apologize to Rindo and the others. He smiled and turned his head. His eyes landed on Luffy, who was laughing at Korea, who was sincerely apologizing. He stared at him for a while before a small smile appeared on his face. He turned his head again. Hancock was glaring at him without even attempting to be subtle. It's like a serpent staring down her prey, Franz thought while letting out a low chuckle. He turned away from her with a wry smile. Tate, I'm glad you made Korea handle them because of her gullible nature, but I'm stuck with a warlord wanting to kill me. He started sweating buckets. I wish Jessie was here. At least I wouldn't feel so scared. He could feel Hancock's gaze piercing the back of his head. Jessie, Astrid, Luca, anybody please. I'm scared, he mumbled under his breath. At the same time, somewhere on the island, someone was overlooking the situation. Nothing escaped their eyes and everything was clear to them. Despite this figure decided to stay hidden and observe. Alright, it looks like you're all okay. Korea spoke to the Kuja with a bright smile. You're all pretty lucky to survive a run-in with that vile Mihawk. Yeah, he was stupidly strong. Especially at Marineford, Luffy said. Oh, you were watching too, Korea frowned. It was rather vexing watching him in action. It made me realize how far apart we are in skill. Are you aiming for that Hawkeye guy, Butterfly Girl? Korea nodded. I'm aiming to cut down all pirates who call themselves swordsmen. Really, then you should give up. Korea frowned. Why? Luffy showed a huge grin. Because you'll never beat Zoro, even if you beat Mihawk. Zoro, you mean Roronoa Zoro? Don't mind her. Elder Nyan stood between the two of them. She's just a huge Zoro fan. A fan? What's your name? Luffy moved Elder Nyan's hand. It's Lucia, her name is Lucia. Elder Nyan covered his mouth with her other hand. Listen up, Lucia. You shouldn't idolize pirates. They're the scum of the earth who plunge people's life in despair for their own benefit. Korea's eyes became cold. Those who idolize pirates are on a pathway to hell. Come on, Korea. Stop forcing your values on others. Franz patted Korea on her shoulder and rested his hand on Luffy's. Fine. Korea backed down and went to talk to the nurses. France sighed and glanced over his shoulder. Hancock's eyes were still locked on him. Hey, I calmed down the situation, why do you still want to kill me? He screamed internally. Meanwhile, in Hancock's mind, get your dirty hands off Luffy. You savage, just because he looks beautiful as a woman doesn't mean you can get grabby. Alright, if things go south I'm killing him first, she mumbled under her breath. France's body stiffened. Curse my good hearing. Tears started gathering in his eyes. Alright, it's time to go meet with the mayor. Korea came back over. France's eyes lit up. Yes, let's go meet the very strong and powerful mayor. I'll be safe. I mean, I'm sure he wants to discuss some things with you guys. Just as France hoped, everyone left the hospital to meet the mayor at his residence. They arrived at his gate, which opened upon their arrival. They entered the premise and locked their eyes on the mansion before them. The door opened and the bear-like Tate stepped outside. Welcome, guests. I'm sure you're all tired after everything you've gone through. He gestured to the inside of his home. Come inside, we have a feast prepared. A feast. Luffy's eyes changed into meat. Hancock held onto him to prevent him from running inside. She glanced at Rindo, who immediately stepped forward. We're extremely grateful for all you've done for us. We will take up your offer. Tate nodded and walked back inside the mansion. Be on your guard, Hancock whispered. The girls nodded. They entered after Korea and France. The inside of the mansion was a perfect mix of white and gold. On the walls were bounty posters with XS crossed over them. There were also pictures of various people meeting Marine officers. The group walked glancing at the pictures and wanted posters. Elder Nyan stopped in front of a picture. Fleet Admiral Sengoku. It was a picture of a younger Sengoku with Tate. Are you shocked? Elder Nyan spun around and found herself facing the mountain of muscle that was Tate. He looked down on her with a smile smirk. Are you curious about that picture, old man? And no. It just caught my eye. Don't worry, it's not a big deal for me to talk about it. Tate stretched and took down the photo. This was taken a decade ago when I became mayor. I went to pay my respects and took this photo as tradition. Tradition. Tate smiled and pointed at the wall. Elder Nyan followed his finger. Her eyes slowly widened as she saw a picture of Sengoku with another man. Beside it was a picture of two other men, one of which she recognized. Former Fleet Admiral Kong. Her eyes moved across the wall. There she saw pictures of various people from different eras of the Navy posing with each other. You see, the people of this island have always had a strong relationship with the world government. I mean, it makes sense. We hunt notorious pirates for them, which lessen their burdens. Also, with us, they don't have to worry about losing manpower if anybody dies. We're basically mercenaries after all. Elder Nyan looked up at him with trembling eyes. Just how long has this island been around? Who knows? I doubt anybody in the world can answer that question. Tate started walking away. Let's go, eat and rest up, everyone. He walked into the kitchen with Elder Nyan staring at his back. The relationship between this island and the world government is stronger than I expected, she mumbled before entering the dining area. After a while, everyone was seated at the table and eating. Luffy was eating faster than the servants could put down the plate. France and Korea looked at him in shock. Tate didn't show much reaction other than a small smile. He tapped the tip of his glass with a spoon to draw everyone's attention. Once again, I wish to introduce myself. He stood up. I am the mayor of this island and the strongest bounty hunter, Tate Tobin. I formally welcome you all to my domain. The grin on his face was overflowing with confidence and power. This guy is definitely strong. He could be a big-name pirate in the new world with his strength. Hancock started sizing up Tate. Luffy looked at him with curiosity as he chewed on meat. Now that I've introduced myself and welcomed you, it's time to get down to business. The smile fell from Tate's face, and the atmosphere changed. As you all know, this island is hidden from the rest of the world. So much so that there aren't even rumors of its existence. Do you know how we achieve this? No one answered because the answer was clear. It's as you're thinking. We eliminate all who know of existence. The Kuja tensioned up. They were all readying themselves. Tate lifted his hand and gestured for them to calm down. I say eliminate, but we don't always kill castaways. In the past, we had people who had devil fruits who could erase or overwrite memories. Unfortunately, all of them have passed. Since then, we've changed our approach. He smiled. We recruit the castaways to work with us either as bounty hunters or support. If that doesn't work, Ran asked, if you refuse, we simply let you on your way. His smile grew into a smirk. After all, if you made it here, then it's most likely an accident if you're not from the Marines. In other words, you're trapped in the middle of the calm belt, a sea filled with sea kings. Sometimes it's best to let nature do its thing. He let people get eaten by sea kings. A chill ran down Elder Nyan's spine. Of course, we only go through the trouble of inviting civilians. As for pirates, he used his thumb to suggest cutting his throat. He sat down and then leaned over. The question now is, which are you, civilians who will become bounty hunters or just another group of pirates who will bless the sea devil with their presence? He showed a bright smile. Please answer truthfully. The Kuja started looking at each other. Hancock frowned as she glared at Tate. Korea was glaring at Hancock in return. As for France, he was surprisingly calm. At this moment, who am I? Luffy stood up. I'm the man who will become king of the pirates. His shout shook the building. Elder Nyan looked at him with her jaw hitting the floor. Her eyes rolled to the back of her head as she leaned in her seat. France's eyes were peeled open. Korea stood up, kicking away her chair. Pirates. She put her hand inside her poncho. A burly hand grabbed her arm. She looked to her side and at Tate with confusion. He was wearing a huge grin. I see. So you want to be king of the bounty hunters. That's a great ambition to have. Huh, everyone froze. And no, I said the king. Yes, I understand. I feel your passion from over here. He stood back up and picked up Korea's chair. He placed it behind her and made her sit down with a small push. With passion like that, I'm certain your dreams will come true, as a bounty hunter. Hancock, is this guy stupider than me? Luffy turned to Hancock with a confused expression. She had a similar expression. Luffy clearly said king of the pirates, but this guy is ignoring it. Tate started petting Korea's head as she sat with a confused expression. He glanced at Hancock and smirked. She couldn't feel any hostility from him at all. The same could be said for France, who didn't react to anything. Only Korea reacted appropriately, and she was being treated like a child. This entire situation greatly confused Hancock. What the hell is going on here? Hancock and the Kuja pirates looked at Tate with confusion. Why is he covering for us? Hancock glanced at France. He did the same earlier. She glanced at Korea. She, on the other hand, seems as clueless as us. She started assessing all the information before her. These two are plotting something together, and it seems like it isn't something the whole island is on. If it was a collective effort, this girl who seems to be important here wouldn't have been left out. In fact, they have her here because she's easy to fool. She thought about it for a while and came to a conclusion. We're going to kill them. This was her decision. I don't know what they're plotting, but I don't trust them, and I'm not going to wait to find out. If they're even a slight threat to Luffy, they need to be put in the dirt. She was about to stand up. Oh, I think this is the perfect time to tell you about the military force of this island. Tate spoke up with a grin. After all, it's better to know your opponent's hands before you decide whether to take them on or not. He stood up. There are over people on this island. Everyone here had combat training and can function as bounty hunters. He placed his hand on France and Korea's shoulder. Of those, there are 5 youngsters who show exceptional promise and ability. These 5 could take on any rising stars in the pirate world, those known as the supernova. We call them the Supreme 5. These 2 are among them. He pointed at himself. And then there's me, the strongest bounty hunter. By the way, I'm not the last line of defense. That's somebody else, someone you wouldn't want to meet. He let out a slight chuckle. That's a lot of firepower, wouldn't you agree? The veins in Hancock's neck bulged. The armrest of her chair started to crack under her grasp. Her eyes became bloodshot and her body shook. Why you? Hancock's voice trembled as a demonic expression appeared on her face. You dare threaten us. The hockey, laced with bloodlust, that leaked out of her caused Korea and France to spring to their feet on reflex. No. Of course not. Tate held on to their shoulders. It is too outrageous to threaten our guests. Hancock stood up. Hockey was oozing out of her body, causing cracks in the furniture close to her. I don't like to play games, let's just cut to the chase. Me burying. Stop it, Hancock. Hancock looked down at Luffy, who frowning at her. These are good people, I'm sure of it. He picked up another piece of meat. I mean, anyone who cooks such delicious meat can't be evil. What kind of reasoning is that? That won't stop her. Korea and France thought. Hancock looked at Luffy for a bit before sitting back in her seat. Huh. She started to fidget in her seat. If you say they're good people, then they must be good. Huh. The two's eyes nearly popped out of their heads. The intimidating Hancock was obediently sitting in her seat and fidgeting like a kid who was just scolded. Even Tate was a bit taken aback. However, he quickly started laughing. I see. I think I get what's going on here. Huh, you don't mean? Franz started looking at Luffy and Hancock. Luffy was all smiles trying to talk to her while Hancock was shyly looking away with a slight blush. Franz's jaw hit the table hard. No way. That's amazing. Right. Tate was laughing while Franz was still trying to process his discovery. Can someone please tell me what's going? Korea was still puzzled. I will explain later. Tate once again pets her head. She nodded obediently. He looked at Hancock and the others. My apologies again. There's no need to fret. Just as this, he looked at Luffy again. He surprisingly looks passable in a wig. As this young lady said, we're not bad people. There's no haste for you to make your decision. You can just recover for the time being. Go see the town, chat with the people here, adventure a bit. After that, we'll talk again. I hope at that time you can tell us what you really want from us. Tate showed his usual smile and didn't answer. After Luffy ate his fill, Hancock and the others were escorted to guest houses by Korea. Few that went as bad as I expected. Franz was slouching on a sofa in Tate's living room. Man, Hancock was really intense. I don't think I could beat her in a fight. Of course you can't. Warlords aren't to be underestimated. Tate was sitting across from him drinking a beer. What's really impressive is how Straw Hat Luffy has her wrapped around his finger. Yeah, that's a real shocker. Wait, are you crying? And no, I'm not. I just have something in my eye. Wait, now that I think about it. Weren't you a big Hancock fan? No. Yeah, you are. I remember now. You had a duel with a guy because he stepped on her picture that was in the newspaper. I should have shot him in both knees instead of one for such blasphemy. See, alright, I was her fan. I mean, just look at her, and she's the only female warlord too and leader of a tribe of female warriors that's so badass. You finally met her, and she immediately wants to kill you. Not only that, you found out she was in love with another. Shut up. Franz started wiping the tears flowing out of his eyes. It's like they say, don't meet your heroes. Tate burst out laughing. Damn it, if it wasn't Straw Hat Luffy I would have requested a duel with the bastard she's in love with. What if it was a Yonko? Even if it was Whitebeard? Damn, you really respect Straw Hat? Huh, then again, how couldn't you considering what organization you're from? What about you? What do you think about him? Let's see. The way the world government painted him, I thought he would be a maniac. Then again, he might still be. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Franz nodded. After a few seconds, he put on a serious expression. Were you able to convince the sheriff to join us? Tate didn't answer and just finished his beer with one big drink. I guess that's a no. He didn't plan on joining us, but he said he won't interfere with our plans. So he's taking a neutral position. Well, I guess that's better than having him as an enemy. Yeah, the smile left Tate's face. Felix is one guy in this world I don't want as an enemy. He started smiling again. I'd rather fight an admiral. Strangely enough, even though I've never seen him fight, I have to agree. Franz's brow furrowed. I don't know why, but whenever I think about fighting him, even if a spar, I feel so powerless. As if I would just be forfeiting my life. The last person I felt like that with was my boss. Tate looked at Franz in silence. That's more Felix's indomitable spirit you felt than strength. That's what you need to be scared of. He stood up. You need a beer. Rum, please. Your strongest. Going to drink away the Hancock blues. You know it. Franz showed a thumbs up as a single tear flowed down his cheek. Meanwhile, Korea led Hancock's group to the residential area. I'll admit that I don't trust your group, but since the mayor is willing to overlook it, I have no choice but to follow suit. Korea spoke with a frown as they followed behind her. Do you always follow the mayor's orders blindly? Marguerite couldn't stop herself from asking. Don't misunderstand. I don't blindly follow him. I just trust his judgment. He raised me so I know him better than anybody else. If he does something, it's for a good reason. They stopped in front of a large 2-story house. This is where you will be staying for the time being. This goes without saying, but you will be under constant observation. We understand. Thank you. Rindo took the keys from Korea, who glared at Hancock before walking away. Well, that's it. Food and other supplies are already inside. You're free to go in town if you want. She stopped and looked back at them. Welcome to Bounty Island. I hope your stay will be pleasant for both of our sakes. Luffy and the girls entered the house after Korea left. That was exhausting. Rindo collapsed on the first couch she saw. She was lying face down with her previously groomed hair a mess. Daisy sat next to her and started fixing her hair. Ha ha ha. I can't believe we were found out on the first day. Unlike Rindo, she was all smiles. I told you this plan was gonna fail. Elder Nyan sat on a chair. I thought it was gonna be an all-out war. What are you guys talking about? It was fun. We got to eat a lot of food and met some strong people. Luffy stood with his hands folded behind his head and a huge smile on his face. I'm glad you had fun, Luffy. Hancock smiled lovingly at Luffy for a bit before looking away. I guess even you can't overlook everything that happened. Elder Nyan spoke to her. That Tate guy and his sidekick are planning something, and I don't like we don't know what it is. They don't look hostile though. Then again, they are men, so they can't be trusted, Rand said while she took Hancock's jacket from her and hung it up. Come on, guys. I said they're good people. Isn't that enough? Of course it is, Luffy. Hancock skipped to the frowning Luffy's side with hard eyes. If Luffy says they're good people, then we'll trust them. No, we will not, you stupid little girl, Elder Nyan shouted. What, you walking corpse, are you doubting Luffy's judgment? Hancock popped up in front of Elder Nyan and looked down at her with a glare. Of course I am, and you should too. Doubt my man, what a blasphemous thing to say. Listen, you fool, blinded by love, just listening to everything your partner says isn't proof of love. It's the behavior of a slave. Elder Nyan's eyes widened and she covered her mouth the second she realized what she said. She looked at Hancock's face. I am no slave. Hancock's calm voice shocked her. Her eyes were bright and showed no signs of turmoil. I am just a woman in love. I see. Elder Nyan's tense body started to relax. Even so, if you truly care about someone, you can't just agree with everything they say to please them. If they're wrong, you need to be firm and let them know. If they're straying from their path, you need to guide them, with force if necessary. A woman who loves a man will help him become a better person any way she can. Elder Nyan poked Hancock's chest. It's a light to doubt your lover's judgment. There's nothing wrong with voicing your concerns regarding their actions. After all, the source of your doubt is the love you have for them. It's also born from your desire to protect them. She locked eyes with Hancock. Doubt them, talk to them, understand them, and guide them. You must do these 4 things if you truly want the best for them. Hancock looked at Elder Nyan in silence. She lifted her hand in front of Elder Nyan's face. She flicked Elder Nyan's forehead with such force she was thrown to the ground. Ow, ow, ow. Elder Nyan rolled on the ground holding her head. You used hockey. She looked up at Hancock with a glare. Her glare softened when she saw Hancock's face. She showed no obvious emotion and only looked down on Elder Nyan with a peculiar gaze. Elder Nyan didn't know why, but the vibe she was getting from Hancock extinguished her anger. That was calling me a slave. Hancock turned away from Elder Nyan. I'm sorry about the noise, Luffy. I hope you weren't annoyed. No, I'm good. Did you make up? Don't worry about that. We have that kind of relationship. Oh, so like Zoro and Sanji? Cool, then you're super close. Elder Nyan looked at Hancock as she was helped up by Sweet Pea. Well, I guess I deserve that flick, she mumbled. Luffy. Hancock looked at Luffy with a serious expression. Do you really trust those people? I do. Luffy nodded without hesitation. Can I ask why? Because they gave us food and a place to stay. Is that all? Do you need more of a reason to trust someone? Luffy looked genuinely confused. Yes, I do. I'm responsible for everybody's lives, so I can't afford to trust people when I know they're scheming something. I especially can't trust they won't try to hurt you. I'll be fine. I'm strong after all. Also, I don't think they want to hurt us. How do you know? A gut feeling, I guess. Is it perhaps his instincts? Hancock thought. She looked into his eyes. There were no traces of doubt. Fine, I'll believe your judgment. She smiled. I'll believe in you, so if things go south, please step up and help me. Of course. I will always protect you, Hancock. Luffy's innocent smile caused Hancock's chest to tighten and her face to become flushed. Thank you. Look at them having a grand time. Elder Nyan grumbled while Aphalandra put a band-aid over a large bump on her forehead. It looks like things are going as planned though, Elder Nyan. Rand whispered in Elder Nyan's ear. What are you talking about? We were found out. No, I'm talking about the plan to make the Snake Princess and Luffy get closer. I forgot about that. She frowned. With the way this woman has been treating me, I don't really feel motivated to help her love life though. She watched as Hancock spoke with Luffy with a gentle expression and slightly blushed cheeks. Why did God make her so pretty? She should have given her looks that match her personality, she grumbled. Hey Luffy, what's up, Granny? Hancock glared at Elder Nyan for disturbing her time with Luffy. How did you like the town? It seemed cool. The everybody having the same presents thing was strange, but other than that the town looked cool. I see. Then why don't you good have a look around? I saw a few of those water horses you like walking around town. Maybe if you go in town you can ride one. That's a great idea. Luffy's eyes started sparkling. He looked at Hancock. Let's go in town, Hancock. But it's dangerous. We're in enemy territory. It's fine, Elder Nyan interjected. You've already decided to trust Luffy's judgment, didn't you? Then you don't have anything to worry about. If that mayor truly means us no harm, then he won't reveal our true identities to the public. As long as nobody knows we're pirates, then we can do as we please. See, Hancock, it will be fine. Besides, this is an island we've never been to before. We should explore it and find all kinds of fun stuff to do. Luffy was overly eager to go out. Okay. Let's go then. Alright. Luffy was jumping from happiness. Alright, everyone, let's. Oh, we're not going. Elder Nyan cut off Hancock. You see, because of a certain someone hitting my head, I feel a bit lightheaded. I'm an old woman, so I'll need people to help look after me when I'm unwell. And you want all the girls to do that? Elder Nyan shrugged. What can I say? I'm a needy person. Alright, it will be just you and me, Hancock. Luffy held on to Hancock's arm. Why, yeah. Looks like it. Hancock was flustered. Just me and Luffy? Doesn't that mean it's a DD date? Her eyes started spinning in her head. My first date with Luffy in months. I need to prepare. That's a good idea. Elder Nyan grinned. Daisy, redo their disguises, but this time let's add a bit more flavor. Yes, Elder Nyan. Daisy's eyes sparkled as she popped out brushes from out of nowhere and slowly approached the two. Elder Nyan's smile widened as Daisy started working her magic. Thanks for watching this video. You really enjoy this video. Like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification. Don't forget to support and follow kodyakcombs for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story, link in the description. See you in the next video. Goodbye.